I know what's getting me on that ID. There's applause now at the end. Yep. And so now I'm clicking before the applause.
Good morning.
Not if you're a Falcons fan. It's not Atlanta. What are you doing, baby? What is you doing, ATL? Can I tell you a secret? Dirty little secret? Dirty little secret. I'm kind of good with what Atlanta did last night.
No.
I
know someone who's not.
I know a lot of people who ain't.
Well, the one important person. His first name is Kirk.
Kirk's not happy. And I get it. I get it. Atlanta was in a position with all but the best two wide receivers on the board, with maybe the best tight end draft prospect in I can't tell you how long on the board. There was weapon after weapon after weapon available for the Atlanta Falcons on the board, and they decided to draft Michael Penix Jr. Now, I would also like to point out that there was never a doubt from your boy that Michael Penix Jr. was coming off the board before J.J. McCarthy was. Like, totes obvi dudes.
Well, barely. I mean, if Atlanta didn't take him, can you guarantee it would have happened?
If Atlanta didn't take
Penix Jr.
Yeah, no, Minnesota was always going to get J.J. McCarthy. They were always going to get J.J.
So what's a bigger reach?
J.J. McCarthy.
Do you think?
Yeah. Who's a better player right now, Michael Penix Jr. or J.J. McCarthy?
Last I checked, Atlanta has a quarterback. You know who doesn't?
I mean, not Minnesota. They do now.
Well, right. Minnesota didn't have a quarterback. So reaching for a quarterback, whether he's the one they should have went for or not, that's fine. They did what they needed to do. Atlanta, I don't understand.
I do.
Unless what they're saying to all those other guys, none of you are good enough for us to take best available. And I've heard reasoning about why they supposedly did this, but you bring a guy in, you pay him a lot of money in Kirk Cousins, and you're saying, hey, you're just a placeholder.
Nope, that's not what they're doing. They are doing, although it's a mutated, distorted version of it, they're going with the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers game plan.
Nope.
Say nope. That's exactly what they're doing. They're going with the game plan of let's call it what it is. Kirk Cousins is an older quarterback who has never won anything in the playoffs with rubber bands for ligaments at this point.
Then why'd you get him? I mean, why'd you pay him all that money to bring him in?
Atlanta is in a compete now mentality. I don't know if they should be or not, but they are in a win now mentality. That team fully, genuinely believes that they can win this division this year. And for the record, they're right. They can. The division is still not good. And Atlanta, roster-wise, with Kirk Cousins at the helm, is arguably, as of today, the best roster in the NFC South. I'm not going to push back on that. Maybe Tampa, but I really think it's Atlanta. So they're in a win-now philosophy.
But don't you risk something by not telling your quarterback that you brought in what you're going to do? Don't you risk him being disgruntled? Don't you risk him
what? Walking out on a $138 million contract not another team in the league is going to give him?
Not walking out, but believing that the team doesn't have his back. I mean, that can hurt his mentality. We know he does that brain thing. And I'm not sure that will help him. I mean, when you're second guessing the people who are in charge, it might affect your play on the field.
I'm not going to push back against that. I think you're right. I would like to think, as the emperor of idealism, you would believe that Kirk Cousins is, no matter what happens, no matter what the team says or does, you put your damn nose down and you go to work.
That's not how it works. It's not how it works around here. It's not how it works at any job. How it works is if people make fun of you, or they, like, you walk in a room and then suddenly they're quiet and things like that, then you start second guessing that. You start second guessing other things. You start seeing signs that maybe weren't there, and it affects how you act, like in this case, on the air. I've seen it happen with me. I've seen it happen with you. I've seen it happen with everybody. And so they're doing that. They do that to him. And do they have to notify him? No, he's the employee. They don't have to notify him. But they should have. Don't you think they should have?
I don't.
Wow.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
There is no. Does our boss, great one, have any obligation to come down here and run his decisions past us? No, absolutely not.
No, but in the past, not just with him, but with other bosses, where things were run by some people who were about to be effective, things ran smoother rather than suddenly, here you go.
I mean, and also the other way too, because if the concern you have is about the organization, not about the individuals, then here's the thing. What do we call the lead up to the draft? Smokescreen season. If they went to Kirk Cousins and said, hey, bro, we're thinking about taking a QB at 8, not locked in on it, just letting you know we're thinking about it. And then Kirk calls his agent and goes, hey, man, can you believe this? This team's thinking about taking a QB. They're thinking about finding my successor. They could go get me an offensive weapon, of which there will be plenty at number 8. And instead, they're going to draft the next guy. And then the agent goes, we can't have that. And he gets on the horn with a couple of guys out in the media sphere and starts going around and going, hey, you didn't hear this from me, but Atlanta's going to take a quarterback at number 8. And then that gets out into Twitter. And now Atlanta's taking elbow bombs from everybody about how ridiculous they are. And now everything looks bad on the ATL. So they had 2 ways to handle it. They could either have everybody mocking them, or they could have Kirk Cousins get up in his feelings for 10 minutes, but then realize Atlanta just signed him a contract that, let's be real, he does not deserve. It's real simple to me. If you are protecting the brand, if you are protecting the franchise, if you are protecting the logo and the legacy, then Kirk Cousins having his feelings hurt. Hey, man, I'm sure you feel real bad. Anyway, here's your $1.3 million paycheck for this month. How bad do you feel right now, Kirk?
All right. So if this was 20 years ago and Al Davis made this choice, it would not shock me because the Raiders do stuff like this. Atlanta doesn't. I think they
sit here and pretend like Atlanta is some golden standard for franchises.
I didn't say they were, but they do. They have made some choices that are good for the most part. Some don't pan out, but this just seems like such a reach when you could have had, as you just pointed out, some pieces to help Kirk Cousins out.
Okay, so let me lay out my.
So what they're saying is their offense it's good to go. Don't need anybody else.
For the record, that ain't wrong.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same offense from last year.
Let me lay out my case. It's week 7 of the 2024 season. The Atlanta Falcons are 6-1. We'll say the Saints are 4-3. The Panthers are 3-4. The Bucks are 4-3.
I'm sorry.
So they're 6-1. They're 7-0. They lead the division. And wouldn't you know it, Kirk Cousins, who you may or may not know, is 35 years old. In football terms, he's ancient.
Although I would say I think the ages are creeping up because of how people are taking care of their bodies and stuff like that.
35 is old.
I think
35 is old. It just is.
I would think 30.
How many other 35-year-old quarterbacks are there right now?
I'm going to go with 37 is old.
That's fabulous. 35 years old. How many quarterbacks are there at 35? Not very many. There's just not. And the only ones who make it to 35 are Brady's, Mahomes, Manning's, Breeze's. There's not any, I don't know.
Mahomes is nowhere near 35.
I understand. I'm saying he's the type of cat that can make it to 35.
I think you're going to find, and the age has been creeping up, that quarterbacks are playing later. It's not just about Tom Brady. It's about other quarterbacks. You're mentioning Aaron Rodgers and those guys. The guys who are really good are going to have a chance to play better. And so you're saying that Kirk Cousins at 34 didn't play one of the best seasons he's ever had.
He did.
Right.
He did.
So just suddenly hit 35, it just drops off.
No. So let me finish where I was going. 35 years old is old. Okay? It just is. In the NFL last year, there were these quarterbacks that were 35 or older starters. If you want to give it to him, Aaron Rodgers. But you saw how that turned out.
Well, technically he did start.
He technically started.
Yeah, he did.
So Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, how'd that go? He got benched in like week 6. Russell Wilson, how'd that go? Not real great for
Denver.
Also,
you got to mention he also got benched.
He got benched. Kirk Cousins. That's the whole list. That's it. 5 of them. You had Russell Wilson get benched and go away. Ryan Tannehill get benched and go away. Aaron Rodgers bust an Achilles, and Kirk Cousins bust an Achilles. The only QB last year at 35 or older that played more than half the season was Matthew Stafford.
All right, so I take it back. Atlanta already made one poor decision when they brought in a 35-year-old.
Well, let me. Yes,
that's what
yes,
you. Yeah,
yes.
so
I said that when they signed it.
So they spent all that money on that guy. So obviously they should have said, "Wait, you're 35." No, never mind.
Yes,
never mind.
I
Okay,
said that.
all right.
Now that being said,
such an ageist.
Let me finish. No, some things old people can't do. I'm 39. There is bleep I can't do anymore.
Probably a lot of.
That's not
bleep.
ageist. That's looking at reality and understanding sometimes you just can't do it anymore. And that's okay. That's how time works. So here's the case. Here's the argument. The argument for me is this. You bring in a guy who is 24. He is older than the rest of the NFL draft picks from last night, for sure. He is closer to 30 than J.J. McCarthy or any of the others. But he's also the best that was available there. I think he's a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. I did have to laugh yesterday because everybody's favorite Michigan Wolverine homer, Desmond Howard, yesterday was on ESPN. Lonzo, he looked in the camera and said, J.J. McCarthy is the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft. I was like, dog, can you turn it off for a damn minute, Dez?
No,
for a minute.
No. I mean, some people, you know what you get. You know they're going to be a fan no matter what.
Golly. All right. So
and he's like on that show and all because of that.
You bring in a 24-year-old, but I would also argue a 24-year-old that you have to do 2 things. Number 1, you've got to work with him medically to make sure that he is the best, most healthy version of himself. And number 2, he's going to need some polish. So you bring him in, he knows where he is. He's the backup. He's the second string guy.
When's he playing? He's playing when he's 26,
I'm
27. He's playing when he's closer to 30.
I am trying to get to it. So you bring him in. You got him on the sideline. He's learning from Kirk Cousins. He's learning the NFL system. He's doing what so many teams fail to do in allowing their next-gen quarterback to actually learn the game before he gets thrown into the baptism by fire. And it plays out one of 2 ways. Kirk Cousins is healthy. He plays all year. He's totally fine. Michael Penix Jr. gets an entire year to learn the league. Next year, he gets a chance to outcompete Kirk Cousins. And if Kirk Cousins plays the whole year and he gets outcompeted by Michael Penix Jr., he becomes a trade guy. Number 2, you get to week 7, week 8, week 9. The Atlanta Falcons are good. Surprisingly, good roster, good defense. They still got a lot of picks left. And then when you know it, in week 9, Kirk Cousins plants wrong and his Achilles pops again, which is absolutely a repetitive injury. His Achilles snaps, or his Achilles doesn't snap, but he's compensating for it, and he pops an MCL on the other knee because he's running too heavy on that leg, and he goes down. What do you have now? Michael Penix Jr. waiting in the wings. You don't have to go to who was the backup quarterback for Atlanta last year? I don't even remember. Desmond Ritter's the starter. Who do they go to the backup there, right?
Your argument works if Penix Jr. is 21, but because he's so old, by the time he gets on the field, he's nearly 30.
He's not old. Quarterback ages are creeping up year by
Right,
year.
right. No, I'm going with what you said. So your
Do you
argument.
understand 24 is less than
Yes,
35?
But
Like,
your argument works if he's 21, since he's already. You pointed out that he's an older quarterback after saying they don't want
when did
older
I say
quarterback.
24 was older.
I
said 35 is older.
You said he was an older quarterback.
I
He's
said
24.
he is older than the other quarterbacks.
I don't.
He's not an older quarterback.
All right. Again, your argument works if they went with a younger guy, but they didn't. They went with an older guy who, if Kirk Cousins plays like he did before he got hurt, Kirk Cousins could play another 2 to 3 years, which means by the time Penix Jr. gets on the field, he'll be near the end of his rookie contract and will almost be 30.
What's Kirk Cousins won in his career? You're big on if you ain't got that ring, you ain't got no swang. What's he won in his career?
What's Atlanta won in their career?
Not a damn thing. It's great, isn't it? Isn't it awesome? Okay. It should tell you something. That the guy who loves nothing more than to step in here and on the Atlanta Falcons on a regular basis is defending this pick. Yes, it is an unusual pick. Yes, it may not feel like it is the right pick because you need weapons. This pick makes sense. You have got the quarterback of the future on your roster now. And oh, by the way, Atlanta fans, you got a left-handed quarterback named Michael. I don't see how that's a bad thing for the ATL, for the dirty. We're going to talk more about this. We got to trade all the greats. Lonzo went to bed last night, and he woke up this morning, and his team's got a new Tyreek Hill on it. The Carolina Panthers made a move to close out the draft last night, and they ended up with a guy we all wondered if they'd get.
That'll be great, man.
Hell yeah. We'll talk about those moves and more when we come back. The Rob Brown Show draft recap day 1, draft prep for day 2. Let's have some fun. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, the fan upstate.
That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I will send it to you right now. I just did. Oh, that is so great. But you ain't allowed to laugh at it. You can't laugh at it. You're not allowed.
Oh, man.
That was great.
If you have already purchased your home, you know this. And if you're thinking about buying your first home, you're going to learn this. Homeownership is not just getting the keys, moving in, and decorating. It is a lifelong journey of decisions that you have to make. And making those decisions, especially if you're new to homeownership or trying to navigate the ever-changing home market, can be overwhelming unless you've got a knowledgeable source to guide you through the process. And that is where Allen Tate Realtors comes in. Allen Tate Realtors are offering a no-cost home physical to homeowners in the Carolinas. Not only will they help you determine your home's value, they'll suggest upgrades and repairs that you can make to maximize that value. And if you're thinking about selling, they'll provide you with the latest market data and Mike, Trey, what's up? Trey, good to see you yesterday, buddy. Thanks for coming by, man. Get your no-cost home physical today and get your home in the best shape possible with Allen Tate Realtors by visiting homephysical.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Mount Valley Foundation Services. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at Fix My
Yeah, take that, water.
Water cringed. I saw it.
Water. We put water back in its place. What is its place? The sink? The ocean? What do you mean?
Water, like the force, is all around us, Rob. So I don't know how you put it back when, there could be water vapor floating around us right now. About to break the air again. Look at that. Hashtag Chiefs is trending. I won't put that on with the X though. I don't know if you guys remember this old school house rock song called 3 is a Magic Number. I don't know if you
I vaguely remember it.
That, you know, it's now 3-peat. Every time I hear 3 is a magic. Hey, look at that. We got 33 people watching right now. 3 is a good number.
I agree.
Rob was tempted to disrespect right there, but he realized he probably shouldn't do that.
Did it last year, won the Super Bowl.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will be nothing but kind.
I will goad you into disrespect.
Call them the chefs this year.
Goad you into disrespect just so I can get a 3. Wait a minute. They have draft day caps, Trey? Or is this your hat? Just your hat that you were wearing on draft day?
They're like black and grayscale. Kind of cool. I'm not. Usually they suck. This year they're pretty good. Xavier Legette ends up a Carolina Panther. And there was the smoke going around that Carolina had straight up told Xavier Legette, we're coming to get you, dog. Like, you're going to be a Cat next year. Xavier Legette at one point said, they told me they're going to draft me. And I was like, nah.
And then they downplayed it and said, yeah, well, we told – Dan Morgan said we told like 50 players something similar or something. I can't remember his exact words, but like, yeah, as soon as he said that, it's like, yeah, they did tell him that. You just believe Legette, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It is one thing.
He's got that country honesty that he's just
really
going to – yeah, he
really
does.
Do. It is one thing, I think, to say to a guy, we're going to draft you. It's another thing to say that to a guy, we're coming to get you, right? Like we are going to come get you. That is an entirely different breed of statement that you make to a guy. And so to me, when that came out, when that story broke, when Legette said, yeah, Carolina said they're coming to get me, that's the moment I was like, damn, what? You don't say that to a guy unless you're going to do it.
But it also made them have to trade up probably because everyone –
that might have been the plan from the beginning.
Because everyone – it could have been, but everyone now knew that they were going to take Legette. So if anyone had any interest in taking him, you know.
I think going to get him might have been the plan from the beginning. And for them, for Carolina, it really was just a matter of figuring out where the best spot to make that happen
But if the Chiefs don't move out of that spot and move up, if they stay where they are, does it still play out that way?
Maybe not. The thing, though, is if you look at the wide receivers that are still available, and this is part of why this is so very interesting. It is because look at who is still available at the wide receiver position. Adney Mitchell is still on the board. Ladd McConkey is still on the board. Keon Coleman still on the board. All three of those guys were expected to go higher than Xavier Legette. I think Carolina was kind of playing the odds here with this one. But as soon as Xavier Worthy came off the board, that was the moment, if you're Carolina, that you go, okay, they're starting to get speculative, right? Because Adney Mitchell was higher than Xavier Worthy on everybody's board. Everybody's. Xavier Worthy is Tyreek Hill. That's just what he is. He's a blazer. He's a speedster. He's a guy on the outside that runs a 4.21. Like it's subhuman.
He ran the fastest 40 time of all time.
Yeah,
is what he did, and I just hope he can catch. It's a really, a lot of fast track guys made it to the NFL and were not able to catch.
Absolutely.
So,
the thought here for me is Adney Mitchell.
The Chiefs already have a bunch of guys who can't catch.
Absolutely.
So
It fits into the offense for Kansas City. But I think if you're Carolina at 33 and you're looking at Xavier Worthy coming off the board at 28 after that move, because the Bills need a wide receiver. And part of the reason the Bills were willing to move back, I suspect, was part that you want to know why there's so many damn smoke screens in the NFL? Part of the reason the Bills would have been willing to move back, I think, is because they heard Xavier Legette say, Carolina told me they're coming to get me. So they can go, hey, we can move back one spot and we can let you have your pick of the litter. The thought was, if you're Carolina, if Buffalo takes Xavier Legette here, we kind of end up looking bad because we told this kid we were going to come get him. We told this kid we were going to make the move to make him a cat. So if we don't do that, we're kind of look bad. And Buffalo likely looked at it and went, we don't see Xavier Legette as any better than Adney Mitchell or Ladd McConkey or Keon Coleman or whoever else is the target. So all we're going to do is move back one spot. Would they get a fifth rounder to move back one spot? So we're going to move back one spot, pick up a fifth rounder for it. I think it was fifth rounder. I'm doing it off the top of my head. We're going to move back one spot. We're going to pick up a fifth rounder for it, and we're still going to get the guy we wanted. This was, for instance, why, I don't know, I'm going to tell you, Zoe, I ended up watching about 90% McAfee's broadcast last night.
And see, I didn't. I watched it.
Freaking loved
I
it.
watched NFL Network. So I because I would have had to go online to do it, and I was doing something else while the draft was on, and I was lazy.
The boys.
And maybe you shamed me into not watching it. And I'm like, okay, Rob is telling me this is going to be horrible. I guess I'm just not watching it because, everything Rob says I pay attention to and I adhere. So it's like, yeah, forget it.
The boys were hilarious, dude.
You're talking about them. We already know that. What about Belichick?
Belichick was like mildly awkward a lot of the time. Like you could tell that he was progressively coming out of his shell throughout the course of the night. They brought on, have you seen this cat, Oz the Mentalist, that's been making the rounds lately? They brought him on at one point. And they brought him on at one point, and he was doing his tricks with the, I know the numbers you wrote down stuff, which, don't get me wrong, like entertaining. I'm not saying it's not entertaining. It's pretty good. But they brought this guy on, and Belichick was eating this guy's lunch, like all but calling him a dork. They were all yelling at him like, get off the set, witch. Get off the set, demon. Like it was genuinely pretty funny. I enjoyed it because it was the way me and the fellas sit around and watch the draft.
So all the things that you criticized it for,
I ended up loving.
Yeah.
I genuinely ended up loving.
Oh, wow.
I really did. I don't know. Wow. I don't know what to tell you. I genuinely know. Anyway, so all of that being said, the move to me actually made quite a bit of sense for Carolina. Yeah, it cost you a fifth rounder. Yeah, it cost you a fifth rounder at a point in time where draft capital is kind of a big deal for you right now. Yeah, we know that. We saw that. There's no shock. There's no surprise there. I think the other thing that it did was it allowed you to fulfill the promise to Xavier Legette. It allowed to get you a weapon. We know, Zoe, based on the fact that they have moved training camp out of Wofford, out of Spartanburg, that they want to make some kind of inroads back into South Carolina. This did that to some degree. This did that. Or at least they thought this was going to do that. How's that?
Well, there's a contingent in the upstate still very unhappy about that.
I mean,
the moving.
It is what it is,
yeah,
dude. Like,
I don't know that Legette will get them back on.
Maybe not. But for a lot of South Carolina fans, it will. Now they got somebody to root for him in silver and blue.
Well, Gamecock fans for sure.
Absolutely. So what I am most intrigued by with this is the fact that Xavier Legette, by announcing that Carolina had told him, we're coming to get you, bro, probably influenced how this played out last night. My suspicion is that Buffalo traded with Kansas City down to 32. to pick up a couple of extra spots, pick up a couple of extra picks, knowing that Kansas City wanted a wide receiver and probably had a target they liked, Xavier Worthy, we know now. They drop back to 32. Then they can get on the horn with Carolina. And if Carolina really wants to make a move for Xavier Legette, they can call and go, here's the deal, guys. You can either trade with us up, give us a 5th rounder, we'll let you move up one spot, or we're going to draft Xavier Legette because we really like him, which may or may not be true.
I got to say, because all things are about me, I pretty excited that I did say Purdy, that Buffalo is the one who traded to both of my teams. And Buffalo could have gotten better, and they didn't.
I disagree. They still can. Adonai Mitchell's right there. Ladd McConkey's right there. I think here's where I land on this. Xavier Worthy is Tyreek Hill, but not as good of a route runner. It's a gamble for you guys.
For sure.
He's a speed guy only.
For
he's
sure.
not a technique guy. He's not a finesse guy. He's a guy you put at the X and you go, when the ball moves, I want you to run fast as hell that way.
Which is enough of a threat, at least early on, to make people pay attention to him. And suddenly Travis Kelce is open. Some of the other underneath guys are open. So
sure.
I mean, if you're paying him just to be a fast decoy, if it works, it works.
Yeah, if it works, it works. So Xavier Worthy is a to me.
But what if he gets better at catching? What if he gets better at route running?
Again, maybe he does, maybe he don't. We're gonna find out, right?
It's Andy Reid. So there's a good shot at it.
There's absolutely a good shot. So Xavier Worthy goes to Kansas City, and I don't think it's unfair to label him a project wide receiver. I don't think it is disrespectful to label him a project. On the flip side,
I don't know. Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
You're trying to cover yourself.
I am sure that it is not unfair to label Xavier Worthy a project guy in this spot. So what else are we looking at? Buffalo drops back to 33 or back to 32, and they need a wide receiver. This is also not a secret that they're going to go wide receiver. So Buffalo sticks there now at 32 with the pick. They can look at Carolina and go, we know the guy you want, right? Like you're not shocking anybody. We know you want XL. We know that's the guy you want. So either you take him by giving us a 5th rounder and moving up, or we are going to take him at this spot and go from there. Here's the thing. I don't think Buffalo was necessarily all that interested in Xavier Legette, to be honest with you. I think what they looked at was they went, all right, we got Adonai Mitchell on the board. We got Ladd McConkey on the board. We got Keon Coleman on the board. If you want to reach a little bit further down, Jalen Polk is on the board still. There's a lot of dudes on the board here that we could end up doing something with. And so because of that, for them to trade back to 33, they still have the opportunity not just to get better with a wide receiver, but to still get the guy they want and add a 5th rounder in the process. If Xavier Legette never says into the microphone, yeah, Carolina, they told me they're coming to get me, then that probably plays out differently. Buffalo. Now, I don't know how much it mattered because, again, I don't think Buffalo was drafting Xavier Legette, but they could threaten it, and Carolina's got to make that move if that's the guy they truly wanted. Xavier Legette last night coming to Carolina at 32 in the spot the Chiefs vacated to the Bills, and then the Bills vacated to the Panthers. We're going to keep breaking down the first round. A lot of big trades last night. Atlanta makes a wild pick at number 8. Minnesota jumps up to take J.J. McCarthy. Was that the right pick? We're talking about all of that and more on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yes, the fellas were indeed freezing they tatas off last night. You're not wrong. You could tell the later in the draft it got, the more they were like not feeling it.
I don't believe what Legette said was contrived or on purpose. I think it's country honesty. He was asked a question and he answered it.
I agree.
I'm speaking to the stream.
I agree with Lonzo's stream.
I ain't talking to you.
Why would you?
Exactly. You're a punk, man. Leave the room. I swear it sounds like he said legit. I hope that's not so. Say jam. You didn't say jam cam. I'm so disappointed.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Hi, this is Jeremiah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken minis is that soft roll with that honey butter brushed on it. It's so fluffy, like a cloud. It might be a mini, but it doesn't taste like a mini. That sweet, savory bite and that fluffy roll with that honey butter on it and that crispy chicken, it's an awesome way to start your day. The perfect breakfast treat.
I sent you two things on X. One is funny, one you won't think is funny, probably. But, you know, it's, yeah.
One is funny, one I don't think will be funny.
Yeah, one you won't think is funny.
The first one is very funny.
And I didn't see the original. I saw Patrick Mahomes' response to the original, which was the second one's just vindication for me, just at least to show that other people think the way that I do.
It's going to be 28. And for the record, Kirk Cousins' contract is structured to be done in 3 years, not 4. So he's going to be 27.
Depending on when his birthday is. I don't know when his birthday is. I'm not going to look it up.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thank you very much. Welcome back.
That counts.
No, it does not.
It does too.
No, it does not.
It does too, because only half of your word made it on. It absolutely counts. If you only want to count it as a half, that's fine.
I'll take a
I
half.
did the same thing earlier and it counted.
1.5
Fine.
to 2.5. Counting halves now. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It's the Fan Upstate Texter says, I love the move from Carolina's view. Got their guy by swapping a 5th and a 6th. Basically got XL for a 5th rounder. Not shabby. Yeah, I agree. If that's the guy you wanted, Xavier Legette cost you a 5th rounder to get. And I'm totally fine with that. Here's why. There's one question about XL. Alonzo brought it up yesterday. Was he a one-hit wonder at South Carolina? He was a gadget player 2 years ago. This past year, he broke out. He had 1 year of production. Do we trust that that 1 year of production translates to an NFL career? And here's why it's worth the dice roll. Because he is a physical specimen. Have you seen the shots of XL running when he's wearing the crop top jersey? Dude, I'm going to throw out a comparison here that's going to get some of y'all a little bit worked up. I don't care. If Xavier Legette reaches his top potential, or at least the potential we think is his top potential, Xavier Legette is DK Metcalf Jr. That's the comp for me. Xavier Legette is DK Metcalf Jr. He is big. He is strong. He is fast. He's a jump ball guy. Yeah, there's some concerns in the profile. We did our mock draft and our draft analysis over the last couple of days. And by the way, in case you were wondering, because yesterday I ended the show by making a pick at 32, and I got some heat for it. I got some people going, Rob, you're pandering. He's not a first-round guy. At 32, who did I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking? Xavier Damn Legette. He was absolutely a first-round guy. He's a first-round guy because of the upside of this cat. He's the first round guy because of the upside, because he is DK Metcalf 2.0. Again, that doesn't mean he's going to be DK Metcalf. He's going to put up those numbers. What I'm saying is the build is there. The performance is there. The ability is there. Now he's got to be coached up. This is a rough prospect. This is a guy that is going to have to get some coaching, that is going to develop his precision, develop his route running, develop his technique, develop his targeting of the football. But if he gets that coaching, he could be DK Metcalf 2.0. This is why I said earlier in the week he was a first-round draft pick. It's why I said yesterday he was a first-round draft pick. I went on Wire to Wire with Colin Diesel yesterday afternoon. I said he was a first-round draft pick. I took a little flack from the fellas about it. Oh, you're pandering, you're trying to be a sap. I'm not. I sincerely
Did they really play the Gamecock card on you?
One of them did.
Yeah.
One of them did.
Gee, I wonder which one.
I'm not
going to
tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I could go back and listen. Not gonna, but
the reality here
was it the taller one or the shorter one?
I'm not going to tell you. No clues. No
Was
clues.
it the one you were sitting next to?
No clues. No hints. You'll have to go find out. It was made to sound as if Rob Brown was pandering. It was made to sound as if I was laying around just going, please like me, Gamecock. I'm not, my dudes. I have never done that to any of your teams.
By the way, in your face, Wire to Wire. Now, Rob Brown showed you.
You know why? Because I know ball. And just so we're clear, I've been saying Xavier Legette's a first-round guy for about 3 weeks now. And I've been taking crap for it. Not just here. I took crap for it on BetMGM tonight when I said he was a first-round guy. I took crap on last night's show. I took crap on yesterday morning's show. The argument, the counter-argument, if you want to give me one here, is, Rob, if Carolina wasn't trying to pander to South Carolina, they wouldn't have picked him here. I disagree. I think he fits in very well with that offense. By the way, Rashad Beard's going to come by at 8:40 and talk about the pick with us. Do a little bonus Rashad action today.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. I love this pick. I think this pick is exceptional. I think that costing yourself a 5th rounder to get a guy who, by the way, and here's the other thing. I think Xavier Legette wanted to play for the Carolina Panthers. Did you get that vibe? Is it just me being optimistic?
Absolutely, I think he did.
I got the vibe he wanted to play for Carolina. I got the vibe he wanted to stay close to home. I got the vibe he wanted to represent his home state's, air quote, team. And you made that happen for him. Now, on one hand, you get an exceptional player with a great build. You get a strong player, a fast player. You get a player who also wants to be in the building. And if a guy wants to be in the building, you're going to get the best version of him.
All right, I'm a duck after I say this, but someone needs to get the ball to him. So do the Panthers moving forward,
offensive line the rest of the
that's
time.
what the next thing I was going to say.
Here's what's interesting about them being at 39. You got 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then the Carolina Panthers are back on the clock. Who's left and available overall on the board? Listen to this list, Lonzo. Cooper DeJean is still available. Cooper DeJean is still available. That's first-round guy. Johnny Newton's still available. That's a first-round defensive tackle. All these, by the way, let me just go with the positions of need. These aren't guys that are necessarily needed by picks 33 through 37 or 38. Cooper DeJean, cornerback, position of need. Johnny Newton, defensive tackle, position of need, I think to some degree. You do have Derek Brown locked up on the extension. You are a 3-4 defense, but I have pointed out, you're a 3-4 defense who runs a 4-3 about 40% of the time. A second defensive tackle is a big deal. Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, position of need. Do you want to go back to the wide receiver? I think your wide receiver run is coming today. I thought it was going to be yesterday. Turns out it was a defensive run yesterday. No defensive players for 15 picks and then a defensive run. That left Cooper DeJean, Johnny Newton, Kool-Aid McKinstry on the list. You want to go wide receiver? Lonzo, is there a 0% chance that either Adonai Mitchell or McConkey fall to 39? I'm going to say probably not, because Buffalo's taking a wide receiver, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the ride. But there's not a 0% chance Lad McConkey's not there at 39.
I was going to say, so if you're the Panthers and there's another big-time receiver there, I think you got to take him.
Absolutely. I'll be thoroughly thrilled to come out of round 2 and 3 with another wide receiver, for sure. Adonai Mitchell, Lad McConkey are still there. Ennis Rex Jr., Missouri cornerback, still there. Keon Coleman, wide receiver, Florida State. Keon Coleman was a guy I had on the list at 33 if that big wide receiver run that I thought was coming was coming. If there was a big wide receiver run and I said, you're at 33, moving up gets a little expensive, you can't make that move, Keon Coleman is a project prospect. I'm going to go ahead and call the shot now. Keon Coleman's going to be available at 39. If he's not, there's a guy I said this morning I love as a defensive tackle. If you end up in a spot where Johnny Newton comes off the board before you get to him. Braden Fisk out of Florida State. Defensive tackle. Florida State's defense was the reason that they were the 13-0 national champions last year. Braden Fisk had a lot to do with that. I like this cat a lot. Again, I don't know if defensive tackle is the highest priority, but it's not a need. Marshawn Nealon, the edge rusher out of Western Michigan's on the board. Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker out of A&M. When 39 comes up, great one, even if all these guys come off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if all these guys come off 1 through 8, the next group of guys are linebackers, edge rushers, and cornerbacks. Positions of need. All spots you need a guy. This move was phenomenal because I think Xavier Legette, again, prospect, is going to need some help. He's going to need some coaching. He's going to need to learn some finesse. I'm not going to say he doesn't. I'm also going to say especially if you pair him up with another wide receiver at 39, and then you go get me some offensive linemen. By the way, because I know offensive line is kind of a big deal, if I look at the best available board right now, the next offensive lineman on the board is Blake Fisher out of Notre Dame, who is not expected to be drafted until the 3rd round. There are no offense. All the good offensive linemen are gone. That's a bad thing for Carolina. You got Damian, you got Robert Woods, Damian Loomis and Robert Woods, the 2 guards. You actually did. Carolina did. And this is why when they brought those 2 guards in, I got really excited about it. Some of you are like, Rob, are you really pumped up about Carolina's big free agent moves being offensive guards? Yes, I am. Because your tackles are okay. You have now fixed your guard position. And what did I say 4 weeks ago when those moves happened? You know what you just did? You made your draft way easier. Because if you didn't have those guys, you would have to dedicate your lower round picks to offensive linemen. It would not be an option. You would have to dedicate your lower round picks to offensive linemen. Because there's 4 or 5 of them that are first round guys, and there's like 1 or 2 that are second and third round guys. Everybody else is going to be late third, fourth, and beyond. And if you're Carolina, it means you would have to have locked in all your late round picks to O-linemen. Well, what did they trade yesterday to go get the highest wide receiver available on their board? A 5th round pick, which is where they would have picked an offensive lineman. But they don't have to because they got those 2 guards, Woods and Lewis. I'm going to tell you right now, again, not a fan. I'm a division rival in my heart. I want you to be good so I can make more money professionally. Not a fan. Silver lining, Lonzo. This offseason's A+ as far as I'm concerned. Just with yesterday's move, this offseason's A+. You got 2 guards. You filled in the two biggest positions of need on the line. You got a wide receiver, a guy who wants to be in the building, who wants to be there, and it cost you a 5th-round pick. Well, the 2 guards you got, major 5th-round pick expendable. You know how I'm viewing this? I am just pretending the 5th-round pick was to get Lewis and Woods to play guard. That's pretty damn good, boys. You effectively got, via free agency, 2 starting guards for a 5th-round pick and a wide receiver that clearly your coach and your GM love. Now, I'll say this. If we get to week 7, 8, 9, and Xavier Legette's not doing anything, he's not existing, he's not producing, he's not playing, or he is playing, but he's not really an asset to Bryce Young, then we'll have a problem, because then we'll be able to look back and go, Morgan and Canellis missed. They rolled the dice on this guy, especially if, let's say, Adonai Mitchell or Ladd McConkey or Keon Coleman show up in the league and start going bananas. If any one of those 3 guys, if 2 of those guys, if all 3 of those guys show up into the league and produce immediately in year number 1 and Xavier Legette gets lost in the sauce, then the biggest concern you have is, can our guys evaluate talent correctly? Which is a huge concern.
Or they got stuck with a quarterback who can't get the ball to him. I mean, there's a couple options that could be the reason why. And with this short up offensive line, Bryce Young's not going to have an excuse. So I'm not saying that you're going to say this. Could it be the quarterback's fault and not the receiver's fault if that happens?
Could be the quarterback's fault. Could be the play caller's fault. It could be the center's fault. It could be the tackle's fault. It could be the wide receiver's fault. We can't know that until we.
It's not a bad situation for Legette to come in on a team, because he needs to learn some things anyway. And there's going to be a lot of that going on with the Panthers this year.
With a new head coach, with a new system, with a head coach who was brought here for one reason and one reason alone. Russ Wilson, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. That's why he's brought here, because this guy has worked with 3 consecutive quarterbacks. Russell Wilson got his fat ass contract. Geno Smith won comeback player of the year, and Baker Mayfield got his $100 million contract, all under Dave Canales. That's why he's here.
Is he a whisperer yet? I don't know how many things you got to do before you become a whisperer.
I honestly, I think it's fine to slap the label on him now.
Okay. All right.
Right? I think it's fine to slap the label on him now. So, with the label slapped on him now, you brought him in to fix BY. You've now given him a weapon on the outside. You've now shored up the offensive line. That's not to say I don't want to see Carolina go out there and maybe still grab a tackle with another pick somewhere else. There's a few project guys down the list that I'm fine with you making a move on. I'd love to see him go get a big tackle somewhere down in the line. Maybe somebody like DeMel Glaze out of Maryland, a 6'4", 315-pound right tackle. Maybe go get another project tackle. See if you can put some weight on him. See if you can bulk him up a little bit and find you a productive starter down the line to make it even better. But for now, I am going to go ahead and say, whatever happens the rest of this draft, this offseason for me is an A+. This offseason for me, great one, is the most optimistic offseason since I moved here. Last year when Frank Reich got hired, my thought was, all right, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, he did some things with Andrew Luck in Indy. I guess we'll see. It wasn't optimism. It was, all right, like cautious, like not even cautious optimism, just cautious, period. Year before that, Matt Rule already knew it was going to go bad. Year before that, knew it was going to go bad. I think this offseason so far, I can go ahead and write up as an A+. Now, the big question, as I said a second ago, the big question now is going to be talent evaluation. If Xavier Legette shows up and he's a stud, Dan Morgan and Dave Canellis might as well get their pictures painted and hung on the outside of the stadium because they're the conquering heroes. If Xavier Legette shows up and he stinks and he can't do it and he can't translate to the league, and any of the guys that are still on the board, Adonai Mitchell, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, go on to be studs, there's going to be questions about talent evaluation. Hey, speaking of talent, the great one's going to do a sports flash now.
Eventually. Clemson DB Nate Wiggins was selected by the Baltimore Ravens at number 30, and Ravens GM Eric DeCosta, in the NFL draft last night, by the way, said Wiggins had a big advocate, Dabo Swinney. Surprisingly, DeCosta said after the pick that Swinney texted him making the case for Wiggins. Wiggins joins a talented backfield that includes Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, and Kylie Hamilton. We just talked about it. Let's do it again. The Carolina Panthers needed a wide receiver in the draft and made a move to add the former South Carolina Gamecock Xavier Legette to the roster. The Panthers traded into the final spot of round 1 by sending the Buffalo Bills a 5th round pick to move up one spot to ensure their selection. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. Yay, Jam Cam. I've seen that, Andrew, and I'm curious if that really factored in, and if it did, that makes it make sense.
That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, I'm Miko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase e-card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card. You can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for Business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensate for your participation. Cards issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank and member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
As a roofer, spring means the start of my busy season, which means I've got to get organized. With help from Beacon, I can save time with Beacon Pro Plus and 24/7 access to live pricing, delivery tracking, order history, and more. Plus,
that's a good thought, Andrew.
Yeah, I saw that speculated yesterday, and it does make sense. We'll just see how serious the NFL takes the supposed tampering. All right, there was tampering, but you know.
Not really hide too much in the sideline. If that ball is elevated 6 inches, it's a remarkable throw. No, I do. You're thinking if he was 6 inches taller, as if the height of a quarterback determines the trajectory. In my head, I hear my voice going, if he was 6 inches taller. But that's not how throwing a football works. Well, it doesn't be taller. Everybody wants to talk Stroud and Richardson, and you should. Those guys are impressive. But as I've said, you're also seeing them, I think, play about as close to their ceiling as they're going to get. They're close to their ceiling. I don't think Bryce Young is. It's silly. You keep doing it. It's not me. Damn it, I hate that was funny.
Don't hit snooze. Play the Ron Brown Show. Now, morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
Wake to the best sports talk anywhere. Listen to The Fan Upstate on Odyssey no matter where you are. In the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search The Fan Upstate and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate. Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's Pat MGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11 only on the Fan.
Upstate.
BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. The latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan.
Upstate.
And on the Odyssey app.
Prize Picks in first break.
And 4.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
The Fan. Upstate.
And off we go into the money hour. Hour numero dos. So the Rob Brown radio program starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is spectacular to have y'all on a Friday morning. I am Rob Brown. On the other side of the metaphorical glass, the guy who is in charge of this and every other radio program. He is the great one, Lonzo. What a day. What a day we got going on today. We got NFL Draft Round 1 recap. We got NFL Draft Round 2 and 3 preview. Here's my question, great one. After Round 3, you tuning in? After Round 2, do you stay tuned in? Do you stay locked in? Or are you a recap guy?
I'll have it on
Yeah.
if I'm doing other stuff. And I'll pay attention if I hear a name or if one of the teams I pull for or pull against come up. But it's usually on in the background. I definitely will watch tonight, but also at the same time, another draft is going on that I want to pay attention to. So,
WNBA draft is over. Already did it. It was like 2 Mondays
that
ago.
would be that would be the WWE draft is tonight.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Checks out. So we have got a lot of stuff we're going to get into, obviously, with the recap of 1, the preview of 2 and 3. Rashad Beard going to join us. A little bonus action coming up at 8:40 this morning. We will discuss with him the selection of Leggett and preview where he thinks Carolina's going to go with 39 and what they'll do the rest of the ride. That's coming up in a little while. Going to talk a little bit more about Atlanta's move to get Michael Penix Jr. because apparently, some folks, including Kirk Cousins, got all up in their feels about Atlanta drafting a QB. I said back in the beginning of the last hour, I think it actually makes a lot of sense.
Hour or something. I
was really struggling there.
Back there a little bit.
The brain got all discombobulated there for just a second. We're going to talk about all of that, but it is 7:02 in the morning. It is about that time. You just got to make it through the day, guys. You just got to make it through this last day.
You can do this. We believe in you.
Yes, we do. And then, as was once said, baby, it's the freaking weekend. We about to have us some fun. All right? I know what you're looking forward to, though.
Did you say that? Or did
No, that was from a song.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think it was. Now that I think about it, I think it was R. Kelly. I take it back. Take it back. I don't want to quote R. Kelly.
Just like it's okay. It's like quoting Bill or some other. I mean,
Nah.
No, not that Bill.
Nah.
not that Bill. But anyway,
Depends on what the definition of the word is. All right. So
I was thinking Cosby. You went, as long
pick
as
your poison.
it's not. I was
Pick your
going.
poison.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, so it is 7:03 in the morning. You're about to clock in at work, and you're going to want to get to that first break. And when you get to that first break, you're going to want to talk to sports. And if you want to talk sports, then you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you want to know what's going on in the world of sports, then you need this. That's a very dramatic guitar riff right there.
I wanted to clear sinuses.
That's-
Yeah, there we go.
Water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this AM. Let us begin, ladies and gentlemen, with item number 1. NBA playoffs still underway, will be underway until like mid-June because it's the longest playoffs in America. Of course, 3 games last night. We'll start with the Cavs and the Magic because, and I asked this question, and I mean it, I thought about this enough. 121-83, Cleveland, what the was that?
Took a night off.
Took a night off.
Yeah, no one's paying attention right now because of the NFL draft. Just took a night off. Get a little rest.
Golly. The Magic beat the dog excrement out of this
Or
team.
maybe just for one night they remembered they were Cleveland. That could have been it.
It was,
Too.
it was atrocious. It was awful. You didn't have a Cavalier over 15. You only had 2 of those. You had 4 in double digits. Mobley had 10. Spida had 13. 15 for Allen. 15 for LeVert off the bench. That was it. Every other Cav was in single digits. They shot 39%, 23% from deep, and went to the stripe 11 times or 13 times, made 11. On the flip side, Paulo Banchero, the guy I told you guys was going to be a stud at the next level. 31 points, 13 of 26, 4 of 9 from the arc. The Magi, as a team, shot 51.1% from the floor, 35% from deep. 31 out of Banchero, 24 for Suggs, 16 for Franz Wagner, 11 for Fultz, and 10 for Anthony off the bench. Dude, my goodness, Orlando. Where was this the first 2 games of the series, my dudes? Every game in this series has been a blowout so far, or at least had the vibes of a blowout. Game 1, Cavs win 97-83. It wasn't that close. Game 2, Cavs win 96-86. It wasn't that close. Game 3, Orlando wins 121-83. Not 103. Not 93. 83. Wow. I don't know that there's much more we need to say about that game. The Cavaliers look like the pre-LeBron Cavaliers. That was awful. The 76ers are able to get one back. I tell you what, I didn't like this game at all. Not that Philly lost, because Philly was one of my lower-seeded championship teams. And by the way, if you did not hear, apparently Joel Embiid was diagnosed with Bell's palsy about a week ago. I had Bell's palsy. Do you remember that, great one?
Yes, I do remember thinking that, the same way you were thinking that some things would soon be over.
Yep.
Yes.
I had Bell's palsy. The left side of my face didn't work. And let me tell you, when the left side of your face doesn't work, it's very hard to say, "Swoosh." And by the way,
that's kind of what it sounded like. Yeah,
that's exactly what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Swoosh. And on top of that, at the time, we were branded under a different company, a company that had an S and a P in its name. And by the way, it was a company that had an S and a P in its name, and the second word following it had a P and an S in its name. So I had to do Swoosh Talk on ESPN Upstate.
I'm glad we can laugh about it now.
Oh, I can't laugh about it now.
Well, because
it stopped.
Because if it didn't, you actually might not be here. So,
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Whether of my own volition or not. I honestly thought when I got Bell's palsy, there's a 15-year career right down the pipes, just like that. Anyway, the point here is when I was dealing with the Bell's palsy, things were very difficult to do. Not like, oh God, my life's over difficult, but like more difficult than normal because my left eye did not close all the way. Throughout the day for about a week and a half, actually about 2.5 weeks, about every 10 minutes, I had to go down to the bathroom and put eye drops in because my eye couldn't close all the way. At night, I had to sleep with like a Brian Danielson bandana over my face because otherwise my eye wouldn't close to let me go to sleep. It sucked. My vision was blurry most of that time. I had to put on an eye patch to drive. I looked like the world's stupidest pirate trying to get to work. It sucked. And apparently Joel Embiid has been dealing with that. Well, I don't think he was dealing with it last night because he scored 50 points as the Sixers knock off the Knicks 125-114.
So he's doing that with one eye, basically.
Now, I think he's probably got both eyes back. I think he might, sincerely, jokes aside, one of the issues that I dealt with when I had the Bell's palsy for 2.5 weeks, one of the issues I had because my left eye wouldn't close great it was exhausted and it couldn't focus. And so unless I had one eye closed, my vision was a little blurry. And when I did close that eye, when I put the eye patch over it, when I put the bandana over it, I only had one eye. My depth perception was non-existent. So shooting a 3 would have been muscle memory and nothing else. I'd have been probably better served to close my eyes and shoot with muscle memory than anything else. And that apparently to some degree is what Joel Embiid has been dealing with. Sympathy for that. On the flip side, did you see what Joel Embiid did when he got real temper tantrumy under the basket? They threw a pass underneath. I want to say it was to Anunoby. It was to Hartenstein. Threw a pass underneath. Embiid got knocked to the ground. And Hartenstein went up to lay the ball back in. From the ground, Joel Embiid wrapped both arms around his legs and pulled him back down as he was elevating to jump. Very dangerous play. Like legitimately, even I, who has been pulling for Joel Embiid, who is pulling for the Sixers to make me look good, even I was like, I'd toss him. He'd be gone. That's a flagrant 2, and he's out. It was bad. It was bad. 125-114, the Sixers knock off the New York Knicks. And in the last game of the night, LeBron, AD, and co. once again on the brink of being bounced by the Nuggets in 4. 112-105. Denver goes into cryptbro.com arena and get the dub last night. I put a bet down that the Lakers would win one game. Oh, you missed it. They showed the play that Joel Embiid made. It was pretty gross.
I'd already seen it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
it was gross.
It was not good.
Would you bounce that guy for that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I would.
He didn't get bounced, though, because of who he is.
Yeah, there was a lot of tinfoil caps going around on Twitter last night. A lot of tinfoil caps. Yo, if that's, I don't know, Michael Porter Jr., he's gone. And I don't know that they're wrong, to be honest with you. Anyway, Lakers are in a lot of trouble. Lakers played the best game of the series they've had, and they still couldn't get it done last night. Shot almost 50% from the floor. They did go 5 of 27 from the arc, though, and that's not great. The Nuggets weren't special last night. The Nuggets shot as a matter of fact, the shot from the field was identical to the Lakers. They were both 44 of 90. The Nuggets were worse from 3. They were 5 of 28. They won at the free throw strike. They were 19 of 22. The Lakers were 12 of 17. There were 13 Nugget turnovers to 7 Laker turnovers. Everything on the stat sheet says the Lakers should have won this game, and yet they did not. I don't know what to tell you. The Lakers are cooked, man. The Lakers are absolutely cooked at this point. All right, let's move on to item number 2. We got to sprint through these. Won't spend as much time on them, but last night, a couple of games in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, the Florida Panthers are now in solid control of the series over the Tampa Bay Lightning. A 5-3 win last night gives them a 3-0 lead in the Eastern Conference opener against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is 9 straight home losses in the playoffs for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Scoring open with Matthew Tkachuk. The scoring closed with Matthew Tkachuk. He hit an empty netter with 1.5 minutes left to go to kill off the Lightning 5-3. The Panthers have a 3-0 lead in that series. And our Carolina Hurricanes also have a 3-0 lead in their series after a 3-2 road win last night in New York over the Islanders. Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov both popped a couple of goals in the first period to take a 2-0 lead. Pierre Engvall got one back for the Islanders, but then El Capitan, Sebastian Aho, netted one 7:14 into the second period. Brock Nelson got one back. Felt like the Islanders maybe had a bit of the mo going into the third. A scoreless third period. Carolina played excellent closeout defense on the forecheck last night. And the Canes find themselves up 3-0 in that series. And finally, item number 3. Carolina Panthers got a first-round pick last night. They told Xavier Legette they wanted him. They went up and got him. After the Buffalo Bills made a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs to allow the Chiefs to jump up to 28 and get their guy Xavier Worthy, Buffalo fell to 32. Buffalo got on the horn. The Panthers said, yep, we're going to move up one spot just to ensure we get our guy. They trade effectively a 5th-round pick to the Buffalo Bills to slide into slot number 32. And with that pick, they select former South Carolina Gamecock Xavier Legette. Pardon me. My God, I'm a professional. Rob, get your life together, man. They select Xavier Legette. I can't drink energy drinks in the morning. So I flipped over to these sparkling waters, and dude, these sparkling waters are killing me.
It was very Rick and Morty.
I couldn't even hide that one.
I couldn't
play that one off.
By the way, you should get like Drink Propel or something, which doesn't have the bubbles. And then I
love the bubbles.
Yeah, I had to stop drinking things with bubbles.
Do you have the problem that I just had?
No, I was in the hospital. And
oh yeah, okay, that'll do it.
There was that.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
I haven't burped my way into a hospital bed yet, so far so good. Anyway, Legette, 5 years with the Gamecocks, broke out in his final season, 71 receptions, over 1,250 yards, 7 touchdowns, and did so with his quarterback playing behind an offensive line that is bad. It was bad. It was real bad last year. So there he goes. Legette said, we had 3 days to meet with teams, and each day I had to meet with the Panthers. That's when I realized, okay, they really want me. And then I just kept meeting with them. Dan Morgan said after the move, quote, he was our target. We really liked him, and we went and got him. Yeah, they did. We're going to talk more about that pick later on. We're also going to keep evaluating night 1 of the NFL draft. Texter said, how about the Niners picking up another weapon for that already stacked offense? Texter said, J.J. McCarthy, go Vikings. Joey said, I love the move from Carr's View. Got their guy by swapping a 5th and a 6th, basically XL for a 5th rounder. Not too shabby. I agree. We're going to keep recapping some big notes out of college football, too. When we come back, Greg Sankey, commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, spoke out about the proposed NCAA football Super League.
I bet it means more.
I'll tell you exactly what it means when we come back on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, live reading. We're coming right back. Do me a favor. Stay right there. We'll be back in just a minute. Greg Sankey is the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. One of the discussions that has been going on in the land of collegiate football, obviously, has been a discussion regarding the potential for a college football super league. Now, I told you when that story broke, it ain't happening, dudes. It's just not happening. There's never going to be enough support for that to get justified. There's just too much money on the table for that to become a reality, unfortunately. However, it was still getting talked about. It was still being spun around in the wash. Southeastern Conference Commissioner Greg Sankey yesterday, scratch that, Wednesday afternoon, dismissed any interest in even engaging in the conversation. He said, quote, "The fact that people have interest in throwing ideas out, that's up to them. I spend my time on what I have to do." I am first and foremost shocked that Greg Sankey talked about it at all. I'm shocked he brought this up in discussion, even just to dismiss it. This is one of those things, I don't know about y'all, when I was being brought up, when I was being raised, I got told very frequently, if people are out there running their mouth, if they're out there saying stuff, if they're out there trying to drag you down, don't respond to it. Don't stoke the flames, man. But Greg Sankey coming out and saying that this is a nothing burger doesn't shock me. Why would it? Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are right now, today, two of the, if not the two most powerful people in college football.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, effectively.
Nothing.
They are going to trample this idea, because what would this idea do? It would render conferences moot. They would no longer have any relevance. They would no longer have a point to them. You would have new conferences, but conferences that all kind of play all in one, like, you know what the plan was. Handful of super conferences, one conference that would have promotion relegation between what is effectively a second tier and a top tier. Sankey said, quote, "You can use the cliche, if I was buying stock, I'd buy stock in college sports." Well, apparently a lot of people believe that outside of college sports, something's going right, end quote. This is a weird spot for me, because on one hand, you knew this was coming. You knew this was going to be dismissed. This was never going to be taken seriously by the big dogs on the top of the chain. The TV people weren't going to let this happen. I mean, yeah, you might have some smaller level networks that want to be involved that will push the conversation. But Fox and ESPN, Disney, ABC, they got no interest in this. They control the most interesting teams in college football at this point. Greg Sankey, of course, is going to say, "I'd buy stock in this." Why? Have you ever noticed you don't really hear billionaires complain about the economy unless they're running for office? You don't really hear Bezos or Musk complain about the economy unless it's in a political tangent of theirs. Why? They got all the money. The economy is just great if you got all the money. When you as an individual person own like a percentage of the wealth of the country that is noticeable, you probably think the economy is just dandy. That's Greg Sankey. That's Greg Sankey. He's the Jeff Bezos of college football. He's got all the money. And if he's got all the money, he's going to have negative interest in anything changing. Status quo is important in college football, specifically when it comes to the people who are making the money. In fact, The status quo was the same for many years. The status quo in terms of conference expansion, transfer portal, NIL, the status quo doesn't change until some entity somewhere realizes they'll make a lot more money if it does. We, as fans, are an afterthought because they know we ain't going nowhere. Again, every time there is some big deal in sports, where, BLM, kneeling during the anthem, removing the Confederate flag from racetracks, whatever. Every time there's one of these deals, you get a billion people who go, that's it. I'm not watching anymore. Screw them. They've crossed the line. And yet, year after year, ratings go up. We're not going anywhere. And because we're not going anywhere, the only changes that are going to get made are going to be made when there's a group that realizes I can utilize my power to make more money. That includes, by the way, the NIL. College football players as a whole recognize that they actually have some power, that they can flex and get themselves paid. And that is what they have done. And now NIL's a thing. College football players realize they have some power, that they can flex. And now the transfer portal is a thing. The fans, it happens very rarely. But outside of certain areas, I think there are more people than you think that are very supportive of NIL in the portal. They realized they had some power. They pushed for it. It is now enacted. The folks that are having these conversations, and I'm going to say, I mean the big conversations, do you think we have a playoff picture now? Do you think we have a playoff picture because the fans went, hey, we'd be really nice if we had a playoff? No. We got a playoff picture now because they went, wait a minute. We can play 8 or 9 or 10 more games and put them on TV. And if we put them on TV, the TV people will give us mucho dinero in return for it. The playoffs don't exist because we all thought the playoffs would be a great idea. The playoffs exist because the folks at the top realize there's more money on the table that they're leaving behind by not having a playoff format. So now we have a playoff format. So that we're clear, I actually really like the concept that was brought forward by the marketing group Turnkey ZRG. 7 divisions, 10 schools each, an 8th division made up of schools that can be promoted or relegated up or down based on performance. But that's not going to happen. It's not going to go anywhere. Because Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, they got all the money. And he who got the gold makes the rules. You understand? They're not going anywhere. The ACC, Phillips and Co. Are they fighting for survival? You're damn right they are. Are they gonna survive? No. At least not after 2036 at the latest. They're cooked. But they want to keep that money flowing in as long as they possibly can. So they're going to be against it. I think all the schools would be better off under this model. The money would be spread across more evenly. The parity would be there. You'd be able to keep rivalries together. You'd be able to create more geographically interesting football, which, if there's one thing I ever agreed with Mark Ryan about, it was the fact that geographic rivalries for years and years and years made college football. And now that those are going away, college football has lost one of the things that made it special. This little conference setup, multi-conference setup, would make those come back. But you know what else it would do? It would cost money to the people that are in charge. You think they're going to let that happen? You know it. I know it. Absolutely not. Of course, Greg Sankey spoke out against this. Would it be good for football? I think so. I think it'd be an interesting format. I think promotion relegation in the bottom division would be very interesting. It would make it hyper competitive. I think the ability to design out the 10-team conferences, divisions, whatever you want to call it, could get very interesting and entertaining. But at the end of the day, it's going to cost money to the commissioners, so they are out. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 after this. Rob Alonso and you on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Bam, bam, bam. I got to step away for just a minute. I'll be right back. Exclamation point. All right, let's get to it. Let's break it down. Let's rap for a minute, shall we? Get off my lawn.
I was going to say, you definitely sound like a parent trying to have a discussion with their teenage son.
First off, I am never going to talk an Atlanta Falcon out of renouncing their Falcons fanhood. You should. But It's not over this.
He's here to help you out, to help you on your way out. I mean,
I never thought of all the people in my life that the guy that would be playing therapist for Atlanta Falcons fans would be me. What a weird spot to be in.
Such a pro.
I am a professional, if nothing else. Here's why you should not renounce your Falcons fandom based on the selection of Michael Penix Jr.
Did that hurt just saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't like being nice to Atlanta fans. They're the worst. All right. Here is where it goes. Number one, Kirk Cousins is 35 years old. He will be 36 years old by the end of next season. I listed earlier the quarterbacks who played in the NFL last season at 35 years of age. Aaron Rodgers, snapped Achilles. Kirk Cousins, snapped Achilles. Ryan Tannehill, benched. Russell Wilson, benched. Everybody else was a backup. Okay? There's a couple. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, is over 35. But they're all backups.
By the way, just an aside, going headband now looks even more evil.
The likelihood of Kirk Cousins being injured is unfortunately real. It's a real likelihood. Is it likely to happen in week 1, 2, 3? You hope not. Aaron Rodgers played a minute and a half. What did he play? 4 snaps? 5 snaps? So, yes, it is real.
Well, 6 if you count the snapping of his.
Very good. Very good. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. 5 snaps and a snap for Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins played 7 weeks, 8 weeks before his Achilles popped.
Was killing it, too.
Was playing very good football. But you got to have a guy that can be there and be ready if Kirk Cousins gets hurt again. And I am sorry to tell you that there is a very good chance that he does. Who's the backup if there's no Michael Penix Jr.? Taylor Heineke. Now, all due respect to Taylor Heineke, but do you believe the Falcons can win the NFC South next year? I do. I absolutely do. And if the Falcons can win the NFC South, is Taylor Heineke the guy that carries you through the playoffs? No, he's not. I'm not saying Michael Penix Jr. is. I'm saying that you give him a chance that a lot of rookie quarterbacks drafted in the first round don't get. The chance to sit, the chance to learn, the chance to experience. I was talking with Cody Decker a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about rookies breaking into the league. And obviously baseball is a little bit different because there's like 93 levels of minor league ball you got to get through before you get to the show. But he said one of the most difficult things about being a rookie has nothing to do with the sport. And it has everything to do with adjusting your life around what an NFL regular season is like. The traveling, the packing, the hoteling, the being on the road as much as you are at home. So that's one of the things that a lot of rooks can struggle with. And when you ask a guy to step in and play QB, the most difficult position, I would argue, in all of sport. When you ask a guy to step in and learn the most difficult position of all of sport, and oh, by the way, while you're learning how to play the most difficult position in American sports, I also need you to learn how to be an NFL player. I need you to negotiate your deals, your endorsements. I need to make sure that you got a place to live, that it's comfortable. I got to make sure that you know how to travel well, how to rest, how to rehab, how to live in and out of hotels for a couple of weeks at a time. I got to make sure you're good with all those things. And oh, by the way, here is your 9,000-page book about how our offense runs. Michael Penix Jr. gets to learn a little bit underneath Kirk Cousins. And he also gets to learn how to be a football player off the field in the process. Then if Kirk Cousins does, fingers crossed he doesn't. I like the guy. I'm Team Costco and Kirkland's just like he is. But if he does get hurt, I got a first-round rookie quarterback ready to step in and give it a shot. He's right there. I'm not falling back to Taylor Heineke in a year that I have a win-now mentality. And the Falcons should have a win-now mentality. That's why the pick. Now, there's another factor in play. This has been brought up a couple of times, and I think it's justifiable to talk about it. The Atlanta Falcons are facing charges of tampering. The Atlanta Falcons are facing potential punishments that, according to Adam Schefter, will be worse than the Eagles' punishment from not terribly long ago, A, and B, likely will involve the loss of draft picks. If the banhammer comes down on the Atlanta Falcons, you won't have a first-round pick next year. That's a real possibility. You sign Kirk Cousins to a 4-year contract. I'm going to tell you the structure of that format tells me you got Kirk Cousins for 3 years. Maximum. You got him for 3 years. And then you're going to end up wiping that contract off the book. So, next year would be a prime year to draft your quarterback, but you don't have that opportunity if the first-round pick goes away. And I think that the assumption that the first-round pick would go away is enough to say we would rather get a guy now and give him a couple of years to work into Kirk Cousins' spot than have to wait until the last year of Kirk Cousins' contract and roll the dice. And oh, by the way, if you do win the division next year and you don't lose your first-round pick, it's still going to be a back half of the round first-round pick, right? Let's say you get it and you lose your first playoff game. You're picking 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that range. Is there a franchise quarterback waiting for you there? No. So if you got the win now mentality, if you're selling out to win the division, get the guy now because you probably can't next year. And then assuming that you can roll that in, you're not going to have the opportunity the year after that without giving up a ton of capital. So it allows you to bring in a guy that I am going to tell you, yes, I know there are injury concerns. That is a fair criticism. Lonzo, is Michael Penix Jr. better than J.J. McCarthy?
I believe so. At least in college, he appears to be, yes.
Yeah, 100%. 100% he is, in my opinion. I don't have to think about it. He just is. So you could have traded back. Texter says, let's see, follow up from that mad fan. I get getting a possible QB for the future, but Penix has been hurt too much already. Seems high for him. Could have traded back. You could have traded back.
He will get some rest, though, because,
yes,
and a chance to build some things that had, been injured before. He'll get plenty of that.
You give a guy who's dealt with injury time to get right. Time to maximize his health. He gets to go into an NFL health protocol and allow these guys to spend potentially a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, getting him right, getting him ready.
So when he's nearly 30, he's going to get on the field.
It's not going to be nearly 30. If Kirk Cousins plays out his entire contract, all 4 years, which I am telling you now, he will not. 3 maximum years for Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix Jr. would be 27. That's if Kirk Cousins plays 3 years. 27. 28 if he plays all 4. But it gives you the opportunity to get him healthy, to get him right, to have a verifiable backup. And if Kirk Cousins goes down, you hopefully, fingers crossed, aren't going to miss a beat.
All right, we need to make a correction. According to the internet, Michael Penix is only 23, not 24.
Right now.
Yeah.
He'll be 24 when the season starts.
Okay, all right. I just want to point that out.
He's 23 right now. He'll be 24 when the season starts.
His birthday is on May 8th.
Okay, so he'll be 24 in days.
Right. You said when the season starts. I was just pointing out because I'm trying to figure out, would he be nearly 30 or just almost 30. And so he's just going to be almost 30, not nearly 30.
He is going to be 27 when he takes over at the latest. And oh, by the way, if he shows up and he gets healthy and his body's right and he performs and he's the guy that I think he can be, I'm giving Kirk Cousins 2 years and I'm making the switch. I'm cutting Kirk. Thanks for your service. Hasta luego.
Well, I would say after 1 year, maybe 2 years, we're going to find out if this was a mistake or not.
Sure.
And
for the record, you know what other draft pick I can say that about? Literally all
you,
of
you
them.
can, but at the same time, Falcons fans can go, we could have had this guy. We could have had this guy. Look at what this you made this example earlier in the show. When you pass on a guy, in this case, you passed on a lot of people, and all those guys do really good in the league. And make a difference on their teams, and this guy finally gets a chance to start.
All those guys.
No,
Some of those guys.
this is a hypothetical. If all those guys, I did say if, I didn't say it loud enough, I need to enunciate better. If all those guys do better than Michael Penix Jr. when he finally gets on the field, then it was a bad pick. I get all the reasons that you're putting out there. Still, if I was a fan of that team, I would be upset. Because what they're saying, this is our quarterback of the future. We don't, plan on doing that well, or we just don't want to give weapons to the guys there right now.
I disagree entirely. This is a second-rate version of the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers plan, which I'd say has pretty well worked out for the Green Bay Packers.
Has it though?
Yes.
He's had one season. What did he do?
Dallas and beat the bleep out of the Cowboys in the playoffs. Sorry, Cole Bryson.
It was Dallas, man. Come on, that's what Dallas does in the playoffs now. Did he play well? Yes, he did. But that was basically his first season. We'll see what he does this year.
Texter said, Falcons fan, Rob, very upset about the Penix pick. Need defensive picks. Offense is not the problem. The Falcons could have grabbed a quarterback in the third round. Guys, I understand that some of you fall into this next man up mentality.
I think most of the Falcons fans are upset about this. Have we had one say, oh, it's a good move?
No, we haven't. I'm not saying you're wrong to be upset. I know you wanted defensive picks. What I'm saying is you don't have to like it, but the pick is justifiable. It's justifiable in that you have a backup in case your 36 next year, your old quarterback gets hurt again the year after he's coming off of a major injury.
Apparently is the new 57. If you are a fan, if you are a fan of the show, you know what that means.
Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, and Kirk Cousins. That's all of the 36-year-old quarterbacks from last year. 2 of them went down to season-ending massive injuries. 2 of them got benched. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Yes, I know it sucks. I'm 39. I'm older than 36. It sucks to hear that 36 is old, but it is. It is empirically, it is the drop-off point. The guys who play well after that are Rodgers, Brady, Manning, Breeze. That's it. That's it. So to get the next guy in line, that's a good way to play it out. You're thinking down the line, because if his Achilles pops again, I got a first-round quarterback as a backup. I can still compete for the division now. I can do it right now. I agree you need defense. I don't know if you know this. There's 6 more rounds of draft coming up. 6 more. It starts tonight. I'll be watching. But this next man up mentality of could have got a guy in the 3rd round. There is nobody left as good as Michael Penix Jr. Nobody. There's no quarterbacks left as good as this
Here's
guy.
the thing. Because Penix is going to be sitting potentially for 3 years, Spencer Rattler could do the same thing and sit for 3 years and learn and be ready to go whenever Kirk Cousins goes down. And where's Spencer Rattler going to be drafted? Probably
today.
You think so? Okay.
In the next 15 to 20 picks. Inside of the next 15 to 20 picks, Spencer Rattler will be drafted. He is the best quarterback left on the board, just so we're clear. Michael Pratt's on that list, Keaton Slovis, Jordan Travis, Devin Leary, Joe Milton III, Sam Hartman coming out of Notre Dame. All these guys are getting drafted, most of them over the next 70 picks, I would say. I get what you're saying. Guys, let me be the bad guy one more time again. Spencer Rattler's not as good as Michael Penix Jr. He's not. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he can't be better at the NFL level. I'm saying today, Spencer Rattler is not as proven good as Michael Penix Jr. So getting that guy, if Kirk Cousins goes down, Spencer Rattler does not feel to an NFL GM as ready to slide into that spot and keep the ship in the right direction as Michael Penix Jr.
My point is, you just brought Penix to be a backup. Spencer Rattler can be a backup just as well as Penix.
I brought him to be quarterback of the future, who is going to be the backup for a season, maybe two, no más than that.
Think of all the players that they could have had right there. Atlanta fans, you should be mad. You absolutely should be mad.
Okay, let me quote myself from 3 minutes ago when I said it's fine to be mad. I'm not saying you shouldn't be mad. I'm saying the pick is justifiable.
Thank you for going fifth grade teacher and using that tone.
Right,
I didn't imply that you said. I am also as a people's champ. I'm with you, Atlanta fans. I get why you're upset, and you should be.
He's the man of the people. I literally said, I get that you're mad, and I'm fine with you being mad. I don't support you.
But then you spent like the last 15 minutes telling them why it's a good thing, though. And you know what they heard for those 15 minutes? No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Well, then
this was stupid. This was dumb.
Me.
No, you need to listen to him.
Then don't listen.
No, hate listen.
But I have a
hate listening and still
master's degree
listening.
in knowing ball. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate Sports Flash.
My GED shines through again. All right, let's get to something other than the NFL. Games 1 and 2 didn't go well for the Orlando Magic. Game 3 couldn't have gone better. The Magic dominated Cleveland en route to a 121-83 victory to close the series to a 2-1 Cleveland lead. The Cavaliers had 2 scorers at 15 points and none higher. Joel Embiid notched 50 in the Philadelphia 76ers 125-114 win over the Knicks. Embiid also added 8 boards and 4 assists, while Tyrese Maxey scored 25. The Sixers now trail New York 2-1. I actually have a high school diploma. That was a GED and no ball, in case you were wondering. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show. It'll be brand new for a while anyway. Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. You know what? It's all Wire to Wire. Jim Kim. And you can tell him I said this, Moles. I don't know why he gets so mad at me sometimes. I am just so misunderstood. He's on a diet. Don't tell anyone. As if you couldn't tell. This entire week. You can tell him I said so, Moles, because he is on a diet.
Turns out my neighbors were hiding a garden gnome collection that's weirder than my last Tinder date. But yeah, I heard there are all kinds of treasures and mysteries you can discover by simply digging in your backyard. So far, all
if you need a hero, and I mean this because it's just a song lyric, I can be your hero, baby. Oh, he's definitely dropped weight for sure, Trey. The air's working good now. but that did add to that entire last couple of days. And if you notice, I kind of just went into dormant mode, just like moving very little. Also known as semi-hibernation. That actually works. I mean, that's not a bad name. It's not.
Can you throw this in queue real quick? I gotta find something.
Muscle aches or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Sky Lizzie, there's nothing on my skin, and that means
People are noticing how cranky you are, and I just saw it, I mean, I understand why.
The third quarter was a pretty big score. Tough shot of the tough. I guess clicked offensively for the season, but the game totally changed in the postseason. Benefits bigger. Tonight was not one of those nights. Right now, it was on that. It's too hard for me to answer that question right now. Probably can sit back at some point and kind of rank the teams. 20-plus year career about which team. There's, they always try to keep that big, but it's definitely one of the better teams that I've played in my career. But sometimes it's you come up with the mindset, let's get one, force a game 5, and then we go from there. So as long as 2 games where they're asked that because I don't feel a way about, and it's just basketball. That's not to the mountaintop and close to think that guy could. You have to act and do anxiety and pressure and feel the pressure. And the greatness they demand. Do you think that's impacted your guys?
All right, I gotta. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show rolls on hour number 3 here on the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you. It's Friday. For the record, I am not in a bad mood. Okay, I'm in a real good mood. I'm feeling real good today. It's Friday, draft day 2, NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, and the ECHL playoffs.
The air works. The air works. The air's working. It's
most exciting of all.
Yes, that is. I agree.
I'm in a real good mood.
You are a little cranky.
I'm not cranky.
You've been cranky all week.
Cranky.
You've been cranky all week. Everyone's noticing, and it's fine. I mean, it's just going to take some adjustment, so to speak.
I'm not cranky. I'm actually in a great mood. Okay. I just.
Would you be less cranky if I'm just quiet for the next 2 hours?
No,
because I don't think it's me.
Not at all.
Because you're used to me.
Not
and
at all.
That's saying a lot too, by the way.
Texas said another W in the column for Clemson over South Carolina with Nate Wiggins being drafted ahead of Xavier Legette.
Why is that? Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? I mean, I am Tiger. Hear me roar.
Tiger fighter.
Do you think that way? With I mean, do people actually think that way? Oh my God! Oh look, we got him. So I guess Ohio State beat Michigan because Marvin Harrison went ahead of JJ McCarthy.
And go blue.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Come on, guys.
I'm going to come back to that, but I want to get to this. I'm going to be selfish, and I'm going to do a segment that I want to do here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob.
Every segment's a segment I want to do.
Yeah.
That's not true. It's not.
No, it is. It's absolutely true.
True.
Unless it gets derailed by you, the listeners, never me.
So, last night, LeBron James and his Lakers lost the 3rd consecutive in a row to the Denver Nuggets. And once again, Bron finds himself on the brink of elimination from the NBA's playoffs because he just cannot beat the Nuggets. What's that, 12 straight L's to Nikola Jokic? By the way, I have to point out where I'm glad Bron's on Team USA. Also, sit him when we play Serbia, please, because he can't beat Nikola Jokic. Well, Last evening, after the game was over, Anthony Davis and LeBron James sat side by side in the post-game press conference to discuss the game. And a quote went viral around the association. It got to trending on Twitter under the tag, "Oh, no, he didn't."
Also under Braun and AD, which I just had to scratch off my
Yeah,
list. But
that's a more boring way
that's
to put
fine.
it. People started reacting, great one, because LeBron was asked the question. And this is the clip that started going viral last night. This clip started going around.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
It's just basketball.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Michael Jordan would never say something like that. See? That's proof that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James because Michael Jordan would never, ever say that. See?
Here are some of the
The
replies.
last C was for a point of emphasis, in case you didn't.
Here are some of the replies on Twitter. Brian Harper, 3 angry face emojis. Ryan James Miller. And this is why he will never be better than MJ or Kobe.
I knew it. Didn't see any of it, but I'm surprised that was number 2. That's the second one you read, though.
At GoPackGo541 said, quote, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant would never utter these words. LeBum at his finest, ladies and
Don't
gentlemen.
put Kobe in there. He's not in a conversation. There's only 2.
At
so far.
Abrasive said, damn, Jokic got him contemplating his love of the game.
Man, I wanted that moniker.
At Mixed Stardust said, this y'all goat, question mark. Texter said, can't wait till he's run out of the league. At MLB on Facts said, Jordan would never. At PM said, well, I'm not even gonna read that one because it says bad words and I'm afraid I won't censor myself in time.
I got you,
Edling.
but don't. I mean, just don't do that.
Andrew Egling said, quote, might be the softest thing I've ever heard in my life.
WFT.
Wizard said, LMFAO, MJ would never. At Wiser Max said, my GOAT, Jordan, would never say this. At Kotam1122 said, quote, when the chips are down, you can always count on LeBron to quit. Always has, always will. All right. So you get the idea. You get the gist. You get where I'm going with that.
Thank you for reading the Loser's Corner.
Now,
Appreciate that.
let me tell you why I'm infuriated. It is not what LeBron said. It's how people are cutting it up, slicing and dicing to paint a narrative. Would you like to hear LeBron's actual answer to the question? Would you like to hear what LeBron actually said?
No, because you can't react to that. It's only sound bites. That's what the world's about right now. Whoever puts the sound bite out a certain way so I can react a certain way. That's all that matters.
Then allow me to be the rebel without a cause.
I don't know. I mean, it's the postseason. We're professionals. You're supposed to have anxiety and pressure or feel the pressure. That's what it's about. Like this is what the postseason is about. So I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know. I don't know if it's you have to ask the individuals, that question and see how they feel. It's hard for me to be like, this is what I think that guy feels. That's not I can't do that. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know. But this is the postseason. Me and this guy been playing together for 6 years. We've been to the mountaintop. We've been close to the mountaintop. We've played a lot of games. We know what it takes to win. We know what it takes to win a championship and how, damn near perfect you got to be. That's not like something that's so crazy to obtain. I've been a part of it 4 times where you have to have almost perfect basketball to win, and I've done it with him. So I'm not a guy that you should ask that because I don't feel a way about anybody that don't want to strive to be as close to perfect as possible. And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
What was the original question? Because he keeps talking about answering the question, didn't know how to answer the question. What was the original question?
See if I can scrub back to where he was asked the original question. But basically, he was kind of asked about the mentality of the team. See if I can find it here.
New Orleans, that you guys are going to have to play near perfect basketball against this team to win. In that kind of quest for on-court perfection, have you seen guys press? Have you seen, and could that be part of the reason why a good shooting team has 2 games where they're sub 20%? Like, does sort of the stress and the pressure they put on you and demand, the greatness they demand, do you think that's impacted your guys' ability to meet that?
That's it.
Okay, not a bad question either. So, yeah.
Nope.
All right.
Nothing wrong with the question. My dude hit him with the answer of, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not everybody else. And so to me, kind of what came out of that clip, it was not so much about LeBron saying, oh, it's just basketball, it's just basketball. It's not life. It's just which is how people are trying to paint the corner. I think what's actually being said here is effectively, guys, it's not rocket scientist. It's not rocket scientist. It's not rocket science.
Saying rocket science is not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. We have been doing this our whole lives. This guy has spent decades of his life, 3 of them, perfecting the game of basketball, getting his body in shape, being the best contender that he can be. You can hate on him all you want for the super teams and the jumping teams and the this and the that or whatever. And like, okay, cool, fun, fine. That's all well and good. But if you heard that and what you took away from that was LeBron thinks, oh, it's just basketball, who cares? You are being, frankly, disingenuous to what LeBron was actually saying there, which is, look, if you want to know what the personal perspective of everybody on this team is, as we sit here 3-0, or should I say 0-3 again, as we sit here on the brink of elimination again, as we sit here struggling to shoot the ball again, if you want to know what every guy in the locker room is thinking right now, you need to go ask them. But I'll tell you my standpoint, which is I want to win. I want us to win. I'm doing what we can do, and we are overthinking it. At the end of the day, it's just basketball, meaning not, oh, I don't care, it's just basketball, but we need to go out there and just play basketball. And how many coaches in the history of sports have you ever heard say, guys, just go play, just go have fun? Just go play. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. Go play. Go have fun. The answer is everyone who's ever coached has said that or something similar to it. So LeBron to grab a mic and go, it's just basketball. To me, what he meant was we just got to go play basketball. We got to go play our game. We got to go have fun with it. And if we do that, we got a shot.
As we both know really well, because of the platform we're on, if you say something, you really got to think it out all the way to the end. And sometimes you just don't do that. And maybe he shouldn't have to think, oh, if I say this the wrong way, they're going to clip it and they're going to put it back on me. I don't think he really cares. And you probably shouldn't. You got to have really thick skin. But this is the equivalent of this clippiness is the equivalent of clickbait.
100%.
Yeah, you see something on social media. Oh, he said that, and you click on it, and then you start reading through. It's like, oh, okay, that's not what they made me think with that headline.
There was a 1
and some
minute,
people just read the headlines, and that's all they care about.
There was a 1 minute and 38-ish second answer from LeBron, where LeBron said, if you want to know what the guys on the team are thinking, go ask the guys on the team. I can only do what I can do, and I can only control what I can control. But at the end of the day, we got to play better. That's what I heard. And what it got boiled to, 1 minute and 38 seconds of a well-thought-out, well-reasoned, and solid take got boiled down to...
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Which is crap. And this is why I make – some of you guys have asked me in the past, Rob, why do you make such a big deal out of, like, fighting back against stuff, about trying to dunk on people, about pushing back? It's because of crap like this. This post that I just searched, has 370.5 thousand views on it. It came from a major sports entity up in the Northeast. 370,000.5 views of people hearing LeBron say,
and it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
And believing that that's what he said. Clipping from and I know Twitter. I know for a fact that this account could have posted the full answer. This account could have said, here's LeBron's answer to a question about the mentality of the team, and they could have put up the 90 seconds of answer that LeBron gave. But what did they do? They clipped 4 seconds off the end of it and then painted LeBron as guy who doesn't give a damn. Are you kidding me? If LeBron didn't care, he could have retired 5 years ago and become a multimedia mogul. He could have LeBron could have his own movie studio, his own hip hop album.
He does have his own studio.
He could only be working at his movie studio and his own hip hop album. And he could have a food line and a wine line and a tequila line and a clothing line. And he would be making buttloads of money. But he doesn't. He keeps coming back for more. Do you think it's because he's bored? Do you think it's because he doesn't have enough business interests lined up elsewhere? No. You can say a lot of things about LeBron. You can say he whines. You can say he moans. You can say he's too invested in politics. You can say he's this, and you can say he's that. The one thing I will push back on is that the guy doesn't care, that he's not intense when it comes to basketball. But this is the kind of crap that paints narratives. This is the kind of crap that tells a BS story about what happened. 90 seconds of a well thought out, reasoned, and reasonable take. Don't ask me what D'Angelo is thinking right now. Don't ask me what Austin Reeves is thinking right now. If you want to know what D'Lo and A. Reeves are thinking right now, go ask D'Lo and A. Reeves. All I can tell you is, this is how I feel about it. Me and AD been together 6 years. We have been through the highest of highs. We've been through the lowest of lows. And at the end of the day, we got to stop overthinking it. We just got to play basketball. When he said at the end of the day, it's just basketball, what he meant was we just got to go out there and play. We are basketball players. We just got to go play basketball. But instead, you got clown accounts like this one taking a 90-second answer, clipping.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
And then portraying that as the whole take. Garbage, dude. This is why I get frustrated. This is why I say accounts like this, unfollow them. Trolls like this, get away from them because they make the sports media environment worse for everybody. But maybe I'm just a sensitive little Sally. What do I know? We got to take a break. We come back. Let's talk some more draft recap. 8:40, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast going to join us on the show to talk some Carolina Panthers. They get Xavier Legette. Where do they go with 39? We'll check in with Rashad coming up later. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Hey.
I'm caught up on this sensitive little Sally thing because I've never heard that before. And I don't know if this is just a Rob Brown. This sounds like a Rob Brown original to me. And that's I was honored to be present when it happened, and now I'm finding out that it's
sensitive Sally. Y'all have heard sensitive Sally before, right?
We've been on the air together quite for several years now, and you've never said that I recall. So, and you are the first person I've heard say that, unless I've lost some more up here, which is a possibility.
I know my family said it. Courtney's family says it. My grandmama says it. Diddy Brown.
Milwaukee, Indiana, back in Indianapolis. Harry Halliburton laid down the gauntlet after game 2, saying regular season crowds have been better than this, and the Bet2Well model agrees. They say take the Pacers.
Okay, not sure I can read the Urban Dictionary. Yeah.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes.
Oh, it's no. This is oh. My life is full of should I say that or not, and yeah, I don't know, dude.
Finding what you love has never been easier. Just download the app. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs. Some even same day.
Well, social media has made that worse, Andrew. I mean, because there are some people you want to believe something, so you see someone else voice it and it's like, see, there it is. There it is. That's exactly. And then you look a little more into it sometimes, because sometimes they are putting out what's accurate. There are times right now, even when news breaks, if you're wondering why I don't break it right away, it's because I need multiple sources, because I don't necessarily believe the first thing I read. And you don't want to break news that's wrong. I don't know. Do you want me to read you the Urban Dictionary definition of sensitive Sally?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, so you're telling me you want me to
away.
read it. An emotional male, usually conforming to a metrosexual lifestyle or similar, very in touch with their feminine side and feelings, usually seen sporting all the latest fashion trends.
Sensitive Sally.
Okay.
Be a sensitive Sally.
They don't seem to appreciate nor understand trolls and instead resort to name calling and a response of nah. Even a slight joke at their expense results in a tantrum, followed by a rage quit.
Best and worst moves from yesterday. Let's go over some of these draft picks, some of the biggest surprises of the night, as we have not gotten into quite all of them as of yet. We got into, obviously, Atlanta taking Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th spot. Again, I'm not saying you need to be thrilled about it. I'm saying that it makes sense. It makes sense. Don't have to love it. It makes sense. 6 quarterbacks go with the top 12. No defensive players go until pick number 15. Again, I don't think that this was, as some folks were trying to call it, like the greatest offensive class of all time. I think it was a good class.
Yeah, they're comparing it. I've seen online with the class with Elway and all those guys.
Yeah.
I don't think I would put those side by side, but that's what they're doing.
Not at all. It's a good class. Is it one of the greats of all time? Nah, it's good.
We don't know though. I mean,
we
we could be wrong about this. These may be some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Maybe. I think Jaden Daniels is a star. I think Caleb Williams has got the potential to be a star. Drake May, I'm not sold on. JJ McCarthy, I'm obviously not sold on. So let's talk about
just to make us look bad. JJ McCarthy's going to tear it up. It's going to happen.
I'll believe it when I see it. But right now, I don't see it, and I don't believe it. The most confusing pick to me is not Michael Penix Jr. going to Atlanta. Honestly, it's not even Bo Nix going to Denver. That one checks out. I don't like it. I think it's way too high. I think you could have pushed that back if you're Denver, probably 10, 11, 12 spots and still got that guy. Hoodie kept leaning on that during the McAfee broadcast yesterday. He's like, there were like 4 or 5 guys. Said it about Atlanta too. He's like, why would you take that guy's got a second round grade? Why would you take him there when you could have snagged him multiple spots below that and still got your guy, still had your dude, and not had to spend that high of a pick on the guy. Bo Nix with Denver felt the same way. Why would you drop that much on that guy in that spot when you could have pushed anywhere else, still got him, and also built up elsewhere? And I think that's very fair. My buddy Doug Irwin from the Triumph, big Denver Broncos guy, put up on his Instagram a picture of him just laying on the floor after that pick, which checks out.
In celebration or?
Nope.
Okay, the opposite of that.
Yup.
All right.
Yup. The Broncos fans, understandably, not super duper thrilled about that selection.
Yeah, I was okay with it.
I'm sure you were. I can see why.
I may or may not be wearing colors that are
Yup.
that's the exact opposite of that. So.
Again, I understand why a Chefs fan would be very happy about it. Brock Bowers is the weird pick to me to Las Vegas. That's very clearly a BAC pick or a BAP pick, a best available player pick. That's a BAP is what that is.
Who's the quarterback there? And
that would be one Gardner Minshew.
I was going to say, you almost had to look it up.
No, because I was going to,
yeah.
initially I was going to jump at Jimmy Garoppolo, but then I realized, no, they moved on. It's Brock Bowers, or excuse me, it's Gardner Minshew, the mustachioed one.
How many teams has he played for now? I wonder.
A bunch, I think. So they go with the tight end, except for they did that last year. They brought in Michael Mayer last year in the second round. This was the least.
So the family that owns the Raiders still owns the Raiders, right? So it's still the same family. So you really, I think this is the least surprising because it's the Raiders. I mean, they did pick up a really good player.
I mean,
there is that.
Honestly, they picked up a great player, to be honest with you. They picked up a phenomenal player. I don't understand why that was the guy that you decided you needed in that spot. You already have that. Granted, Brock Bowers is a better tight end than Michael Mayer is. Brock Bowers is a better tight end than most tight ends is. But
it's going to turn them both into blockers, and they're going to be a running team now. That's what it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know. How about the Chicago Bears not just getting Caleb Williams at 1, but then getting Rome Odunze at 9? Adding it, that wide receiver room is DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. Chicago's going to throw the ball 90 times a game.
Or are we going to be saying at the end of the year, Justin Fields, look at what he could have done with that?
No, I don't think we are.
I think we are.
So that we are very clear. I think Justin Fields can be a good NFL quarterback. I think Caleb Williams will be a better one.
We shall see.
Yes, we shall. But we can speculate because that's literally what we are paid to do. They added Rome Odunze to that draft room last night. And, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, damn, they are going all in here. I love that. I love what they're doing. I think that I got to think last night, I wouldn't be shocked if Bryce Young like punched a wall last night. Like, why not me? Why can't you do that for me? Now, obviously, Carolina did turn around and get them a receiver in Xavier Legette at 32.
He would have had to punch up. So, but it's a good thing he didn't because he got a very good receiver.
It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop.
No, it's
never
not.
Gonna stop.
It's not. Unless you tell me to stop, and then it probably still will. I'll keep
correct.
going.
I want you to know. I want you to know. If Bryce Young makes a Pro Bowl, makes the playoffs,
I will celebrate with.
No, you won't. I'm going to pull every time you've made a short joke about Bryce Young, and just replay them. We're going to do a whole hour of Lonzo makes short jokes.
Are we?
Yeah, whole hour.
I
don't want to put in work, but I will.
That sounds like a special.
It might be.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
It might become a special. It might be like a Rob Brown supercut.
Might have to. I don't think he'll do it.
Probably not. I'm very lazy, but that's not the point. That's not the point. I am genuinely interested in what the Chicago offense looks like last year. I have pointed out a number of times already. The wide receiver room is excellent in Chicago. It got better last night. That's pretty impressive, if we're being honest. That they somehow made that wide receiver room better when it already had DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and DeAndre Swift in it. That's real good, man.
I know a better wide receiver core.
And that is? No, your wide receiver core is not better than Chicago.
Oh, without a
No,
doubt.
it's absolutely
Oh,
not.
yeah.
It's absolutely not.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
Your wide receiver core,
All right.
no disrespect to the Chiefs,
It sounds like disrespect to me.
but the Chiefs wide receiver room is not better than DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze.
Oh, for sure.
It's absolutely not.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right.
Did you forget what free agent they picked up?
It doesn't matter.
Did you forget? Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Forgot about Hollywood Brown. You forgot about him?
I will take the Bears wide receiver room over yours all day. You yourself has said, what's the biggest problem for the Chiefs offense last year?
They were missing one.
They dropped the ball all the time.
Yeah, they did. They did. They were missing one receiver, and now they got it.
So everybody else is going to be catching the ball now that Hollywood's there. Now that Hollywood's in there.
Well, that and Xavier. So I mean,
Xavier Worthy, who again I am very interested in. He is going to be the Tyreek Hill replacement.
All right. Beneath all of this, there's one factor that makes that receiving core better.
Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
I mean, sure.
Yes.
But you do realize that the quarterback throwing to the ball doesn't impact the talent level of wide receivers.
It can. You just talked about how Tom Brady made all those kind of receivers better.
On paper, right now, the Bears wide receiver room is better. And I don't know why that's insulting to you.
It's not.
Their wide receiver room
I
is
disagree,
insane.
and I think it's very disrespectful.
That's it. You're looking for the disrespect. I respect it. I respect the shtick. I respect the gimmick. I like it. All right. Some of the other moves.
We'll see at the end of the year who the better receiving core is. I mean, if you want to just go stats wise, we can do that.
The Vikings trade up, and I am not talking about the trade for J.J. McCarthy because I don't like that trade at all. I don't like anybody picking J.J. McCarthy in the first round. The Vikings traded up from 23 to 17 to get Dallas Turner, the edge rusher out of Alabama. This kid's a top 10 pick. This kid's a top 10. This kid is one of the kids that blew my mind was still available in that spot. And again, you didn't have your first defensive player come off the board until 15. Actually, no, sorry, 16. 15 picks before you got to a defensive player. The first defensive player taken off the board was Latu at UCLA, 15 to the Indianapolis Colts. But then you had a run. Edge, defensive tackle, edge, offensive tackle, edge, guard, edge, cornerback, wide receiver, cornerback through the next handful of picks. Turner being available at 17 and the Vikings, who got their QB already and needed to transition to the defense, moving up to get, I think, one of the best 3 defensive players in this draft was phenomenal. I think the Chiefs move up to 28 to get Xavier Worthy is very good. I think that was a phenomenal move. Not only did you create a spot where you ended up with that speedster that you need, because you do have Hollywood Brown now. You do have a traditional wide receiver out there in Hollywood Brown, who I do think is going to be a stud when it's all said and done. But you needed, in my opinion, you needed a speedster. Now you got that guy. You got that speedster now. Xavier Worthy is quick, boy. He real fast.
All right. He's the fastest person in the NFL.
Like ever. He's like the fastest person ever. All right. The guy is out without a doubt, an absolute stud who can blaze on the outside. And do you know what else you did? You stopped Buffalo from getting that guy. Do I think it's going to matter?
No. Buffalo said, here, have this.
Basically, they said, we'll take some picks in return for him. Sure.
Thank you, Buffalo.
But I think Buffalo actually, I like the trade from Buffalo's angle as well. And I like the trade from Buffalo's angle because the Bills still are on the clock at 33 with a buttload of good wide receivers that are still there. Adney Mitchell is still on the board. Keon Coleman is still on the board. Ladd McConkey is still on the board. Buffalo, in moving from 28 to 32, effectively lost out on what? They dropped from 28. They lost out on Xavier Worthy. That's the only guy that came off the board. And if you're Buffalo, just so we're clear, Xavier Worthy, if you're going wide receiver, is not the pick for Buffalo. He's the pick for Kansas City because they've got Hollywood Brown. They've got a guy. Buffalo's got to find a traditional wide receiver, a well-rounded. Xavier Worthy is not a well-rounded wide receiver. He's a firecracker on the outside. They need a wide receiver. They dropped down, and and by the way, San Francisco took Ricky Pearsall. What? Why? You didn't need that guy. That is one of my least favorite picks of round one. But the fact that they took Ricky Pearsall and Kansas City took Xavier Worthy, Buffalo dropped from 28 to 32, 32 to 33, racked up picks in the process, and every guy they could have got at 28 is still on the board at 33. That's phenomenal. Let's take a break. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joins us next to talk about the Cats, and then we'll wrap up with the round 2 preview in the last hour of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Damn it. That was the worst one this week.
That look on my face when I understand that I'm winning this week.
You're not winning. We're tied. It's going to be a clutch performance down the stretch.
If today's any indication, I'm winning this. Unless, it's soccer. If we're going by soccer rules, then I've already won because we're tied.
Results called a draw. And no, in soccer terms, we both get a point.
Which means I won.
No, you didn't win. We both got a point.
It would also mean you won. But more importantly, I won.
It means we both got a point.
He did say that. I thought he said that. Tag on it.
Leggett the Jet, baby.
Surprise. Diesel. We can't do that. We cannot do that. Good. You start putting them in. That stuff right, Chuck. Come on.
Chuck.
The 101.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America.
Why, look, it's Rashad.
What's up, big fella?
What's up, guys?
How you feeling, brother?
Pretty good, pretty good.
No, you're feeling great. Come on.
Good stuff.
There we go. There we go.
Just trying to look at my board.
Whose board was more accurate? Yours or Rob's?
I'm not gonna lie. Outside of the trades, mine was pretty good.
Was it? Oh,
yeah. Mine was.
Yeah, I didn't do picks. I just did rank.
Oh, okay.
I just ranked the prospects.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess you win.
I got a bunch of guys in the right spots, but the wrong teams, and a bunch of teams who got the right guy in a different spot.
So the Mel Kiper method.
I got
they
the
should have
hell
picked
beat
this.
out of me last week for saying Xavier Leggett was a first-round guy. And granted, there might be some sentimental reasons he is. I was still right. Don't matter why.
Do your Tommaso Ciampa right now. I can't get my arm back there far enough. It's because the guns are so massive. I can't get them around, brother. Oh,
Lonzo's feeling himself today, Rashad.
that is something I would never do on the air.
His Chiefs got a speedster, and he thinks it's
Yeah,
coronation
man.
time once again for the
It's
Chiefs.
It is a great pick. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it is absolutely a great pick.
I was kind of hurt. I thought he was gonna fall to us because that's kind of my guy. I thought we could add some speed, but of course the Chiefs get him. And I don't know why the Bills in their right minds would hand Xavier Worthy to them on a silver platter. It makes no sense. But
It's why they'll never win anything.
yeah, it's so stupid. But it is what it is.
Good morning.
Draft day 1 in the books. Draft day 2, about 11 and a half hours away from right now. We will all sit back down together hand in hand. I will once again reach over, click on the computer, and listen to the boys from the Panther Nation podcast break down the draft. Joining us now, ordinarily on Thursdays, did join us yesterday, but makes the bonus appearance today because, hell yeah, it's draft day. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, talks a little ball with us. What's up, fella? How you feeling? Draft day 1 in the books.
What's going on, man? Feeling pretty good. I mean, are you going to victory lap? Because you kind of right about the trade up talk. I mean,
I wasn't kind of right. I was right. Let's just say I was right. You know what? Here's the thing. I actually like it. I actually like it a lot. Rashad, tell me if I'm being a little too optimistic here. Tell me if I'm being a little too silver lining for Carolina on this. You got Xavier Legette for a 5th-round pick. You got a guy who made it pretty clear that he wanted to be there, that he liked that idea. He liked them coming to get him. He wants to be in the building. I will take guys, as much as I've said, hey, these are professionals. It is a business. I'll still take guys who want to be in the building over guys who are in the building because it's their job. And I get that feeling from XL. I heard your boy Steve Smith on Twitter earlier say, this dude has the potential to be DK Metcalf, but better. I'm not ready to go that far on the afterburner, but I do think he could be in that game, Rashad. And all it cost you was 1 5th-round pick. I'm real good with that, man.
Yeah, just to dive deeper in the compensation, we actually just swapped a 5th and a 6th-round pick. So it wasn't bad. This is an excellent trade. And I think the one thing that we're not really talking about, well, it is being talked about in certain circles, but the biggest reason as to why that trade is important to get back in the 1st round is because of that 5th-year option, right? So it gives you another year to kind of get a long-term deal if everything works out down the road. So it's a key aspect to that trade. It makes all the sense in the world. So again, all we did was swap a 5th and a 6th-round pick with the Buffalo Bills, and I like it. But as far as XL, man, I like the pick. You know what I mean? Again, I'm gonna be honest. I like Glad a little bit more. I like Xavier Worthy a little bit more. Obviously, Xavier Worthy was not on the board, but I do like Lad McConkey a little bit better. But I also stated, I'm on record saying that I think XL has the higher ceiling. It's all about development, what you're gonna get out of this player, and I firmly believe that this coaching staff, the GM, everybody's on the same page. And I feel like if XL is a guy they are all on the same page about, and they feel like they can develop him and they feel like they can get the best out of him and he can turn into a DK Metcalf-esque type player, then I'm here for it, man. Again, I think we need to pump the brakes. I mean, I saw 1,000 yards already. I mean, we just got to relax a little bit. We got to relax a little bit. There's a lot of guys in front of him. Let this kid develop. Let's not put all the ultimate pressure on him to go out there and be a wide receiver day one, because that's not what we need from him. But I like the pick, and I hope that it pans out down the road, and let's see what we can develop.
What's the ceiling in your opinion? We won't spend the whole time on Xavier Legette. I want to look ahead to round 2 and round 3 as well. But ceiling on this guy, I said back in the first hour of the show, this dude's got it in him to be DK Metcalf 2.0. You look at this guy run, you look at the physical build, you look at the strength. Really, there's not much to dislike about Xavier Legette, with the exception of he's not a wildly precise route runner. But I would also make the point, Rashad, he's not a wildly precise runner because he spent 4 years in South Carolina as a gadget play guy. He did not become a true wide receiver until last year. And in the year he was a wide receiver, his quarterback was running for his damn life 90% of the time. There wasn't time in a regular traditional offense for him to run precise routes. He basically had to get open fast as hell, or Spence was going to get knocked around a little bit. Yeah, he's going to have to learn. Yeah, there's question marks about can he learn, But to me, I look back at his college career and go, I don't think he ever really got the chance to learn how to play a pure wide receiver. You put him with the right coach, man, he can be a stud.
Yeah, and all the talks was in South Carolina that last year he actually got some time in a pro style system, and that was the click. That's what turned him into a gadget guy, into now developing into a solid, real wide receiver, NFL caliber wide receiver. And so, yeah, it's all about the development. I think he's not perfect by any means, which is why I prefer Lad McConkey over him. But again, like I said, that's ceiling. He's got potential if it all goes to plan. You're talking about a guy that coached, Canellis coached a DK Metcalf. He coached a Mike Evans. So that's what we're hoping that Legette can turn into. I'm not saying that he's going to do it, but there's the potential is there. And that's all we can hope is that, that the Canellis can get it out of him. And like you said, the route running, he's got to get better there. He's a fifth-year senior. He never had more than 167 yards in one season until 2023. So there's question marks, and you explained a lot of that. But I think he's got to get better. Again, the run blocking. There's some things he can get better at. We can nitpick all that stuff, but the thing is that he doesn't have to be the day one guy. We got Deontay Johnson. You got Thielen. There's no pressure on him to come out the gates being wide receiver one. Slide him in wide receiver. You still got Mingo, right? So again, I think he's got time to develop, and I'm hoping that Canellis can get it out of him. We'll see.
Rashad Beer from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I know you kind of mentioned it there a minute ago, but let's put it on the record. The price, you move up one spot, you got to pick swap 5 and 6. I went back and I looked, and I'm looking at the offensive line class because to me that's kind of the direction. You either got to go edge or you got to go offensive line next. Mm-hmm. I think you're focusing defense the next couple of rounds and picking up OL guys at the end. This offensive line class, Rashad, it's not that good after the first handful of guys came off the board in round one, at least the way it breaks out to me. So what do you think? Was the price of admission for Xavier Legette worth it to drop back a couple dozen, or what? I think a handful of spots, let's just say a handful of spots, and maybe risk missing out on an O-lineman you like somewhere. Is that worth it?
Yeah, no, I think it's worth it because now you're looking at this. We actually have a pick in every round of the draft now. We had a first-round pick. You got a second-round pick, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So I don't think the price of admission for Xavier Legette, if you are convicted about the guy and everybody is on the same page, and I don't think the price is that high at all. I mean, it's not like we gave away future draft capital. It's not like there were some wild trades. I mean, I think the Vikings, I think, only have 3 picks in next year's draft now because they leveraged off so many future draft picks to go up and get who they wanted. So like I think it was a smart move, calculated. Price of admission, I checked that box. It was a good trade.
All right, before we get to round 2, have you heard about this sign drama going on around David Tepper a couple hours before the draft? What you got on this? What's the story here for you?
Yeah, so I heard about it. So a bar in somewhere in South Charlotte, they had a sign posted that said, "Hey, let the coach and the GM make the pick."
Please let the coach and GM pick this year.
Yeah, alluding to, hey, Tepper, please fall back. It's something we've been saying for the longest. You know what I mean? So, and I apparently Tepper rolled up to the restaurant and said, "Hey, what's up? Who do you want to make the picks? Like, what do you mean by this? What?" So, I mean, it's just like this is Tepper. I mean, this is a Tepper thing. Not surprised at all by David Tepper pulling up to the restaurant and asking questions regarding to the general manager. And I think come to find out, the general manager is actually I think he's a Patriots fan or something like that. So again, this is the reality of being a Carolina Panthers fan, right? You've got all these different transplants in Charlotte, and the team, they're fans of another team, and that's the case here. But so it's interesting, and this is kind of this is a symptom of what happens when you kind of destroy our team, right? People are going to be upset. They're going to take shots at you, and this is just kind of a symptom of that.
So apparently, Tep rolled up to the bar, walked inside, found the owner, and was like, "Who do you think should pick?" Right? There's a way that you can do that as an owner, and it can be endearing, right? Like you go up, you go in there, maybe you drop a couple hundo at the guy's bar, like have a conversation, and you win people over that way. You get this bar owner going, oh, that was cool, man. He came in, he talked to me, like he got my input, whatever. And then this kind of stuff stops. And then there's the Dave Tepper that throws drinks at people in the box because he don't like what they're saying. And the fact that he can't wade between the two. Now, I'm going to give him credit for this, Rashad. He said during the Canellis and Morgan presser, we talked about this very briefly yesterday, that he was going to fade into the back a little bit. And I'm going to be straight up. I have not seen nor heard nothing from him since that time. So, like, maybe somebody got in his ear. But this, like, dude, just ignore the sign or go in there with your social media team and make out a big deal of, like, supporting that local business and appreciating them for caring, whatever. The fact that he can't get that right, even though he's doing a good job at shutting the hell up, like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to look too deep into it, but I 100% agree. He could have turned this into a positive. Like, he could have made like a big deal about it, brought the social media team and say, hey, look at me. I'm, like you said, supporting the business. And it didn't, from what's being reported, he wasn't angry about it. But I think he could have, he could have handled it a little bit better, but I don't know, man. It is what that's a Tepper. It's not a surprise. It's a Tepper move. So I'm not surprised at all.
Do we know if he bought anything when he went in there?
No, we don't. That's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
mean, at least buy something.
Thrown down a $500 bar tab and bought everybody around. I'd be like, all right, that's pretty cool. Like, he's off the hook.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad. All right, let's, before we get up out of here, Rashad, round two. Carolina got to sit down for a little while before 39 comes up. Real interesting because the guys you mentioned, Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, still on the board. We know Buffalo's going wide receiver. Couple of teams that may or may not. I don't know if either of those two guys are there, but some names like Keon Coleman could drop down to 39 and be available. There are also a pretty interesting list of best available defenders that might still be available at that spot. 39, what's it going to look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of guys that I'm looking at. I don't think we're going to double dip at wide receiver. I think we've got our guy. I don't think we need. You might get one way later. I don't anticipate that. I think we're going to probably go either offensive lineman or cornerback here, just the way the board is set up, if they don't trade back. Guys like Cooper DeJean, he is not supposed to be here. Cooper DeJean he's supposed to be out of here. So if he's sitting there at 39, you got to strongly consider it. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I would strongly consider. I know he's got injury history, but we need another cornerback, and I would strongly consider that one. JPJ, I'm in love with JPJ. Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, offensive center. I would take him there. Zach Frazier, another center I would look at. There's a lot of guys available, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers said, hey, we're going to trade back. That 5th-round pick that we just swapped? Let's see if we can get that back by making a move there. But there's a lot of good talent here at the top of the top of the second round. And so, yeah, Edgerrin Cooper's another one. Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker, another guy I would take at 39.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot. And I said the same thing earlier, and I'll say again, like, I think the Panthers are in a real good spot to rack up some capital here because you look at the positions of need, most of them. You look at the fact that the board's shaped up with 15 offensive guys going off before we go, or 14 offensive guys going off before we got to a defender at 15. It pushed a lot of names back into this early 30s range that I did not think were going to be here, and they are. And I think that kind of opens the door for Carolina to grab. Forget, like, try to get that 5th back. You might be able to get like a 4th and a 6th somewhere because somebody's desperate for a Kool-Aid McKinstry, and you let them have that guy, knowing there's still some pretty good corners, but also you need linebackers and guard tackles and centers and whatever. You guys are in a real good spot to rack up some picks here.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, tracking the draft and watching the board go, and shout out to the Falcons, man. Oh man, they messed that one up big time. But yeah, so watching the board fall the way it fell, the 6 quarterbacks, and we're like, man, this board is awesome. The way we prepped for it and done all these mocks, it basically fell, and the teams weren't, the players might not have been exact, but the players were going in the order that we've been prepping for. So I was looking at it, I'm like, man, we're really going to get one of these receivers that we want. And even in the second round, with the second pick, we're going to be able to get another guy. So it's fallen perfectly for the Carolina Panthers. And again, it's just a matter of, hey, let's see let's take what the board gives us. And I'm really excited. Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker, I think he's probably one that I'm looking at really heavy because we need some linebacker help as well.
Rashad Beard, host the Panther Nation podcast. You guys going live again tonight for round 2?
Absolutely, starting at 6:00, and I've been handing out smoke for all the NFC South picks. I mean, if you go back and look at the live stream, I destroyed the Falcons, I destroyed the Saints. I think you got a diet oos. I don't even think you got a real oos on your offensive tackle or guard that you picked up. So yeah, I'm handing out all the smoke for all NFC South picks. So come join the live stream. It's good stuff.
You don't want it. You don't want it. Go for it.
I do want it.
Go for it.
I do want the smoke. I do want it. Rashad, I might have your ass back in here on Monday for the smoke, young man.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm
Diet
ready.
Oos.
Diet Oos.
That's like my favorite thing
Listen,
right now.
I haven't yet because I'm lazy. Pulled the clip of Rashad Beard saying he's going engaging certified hater mode, but he just did it again. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast. Find them on YouTube at Panther Nation PC. Appreciate you, big fella. Thanks for coming in extra day, man.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
You got it. We'll see you down the road. We'll see you next week. Rashad, Diet Oos. What the hell?
So
man?
good. It's so good.
That dude's like the third best lineman in the draft.
From now until the end of his
Oos.
career, he is Diet Oos.
As soon as he gives up a sack.
That's messed
We can't
up.
hear you, Rashad. I'd already taken you down. What'd you say?
No, I don't want to hear it.
No, what'd you say? Go ahead.
Say, as soon as he gives up a sack, Diet Oos.
Diet Oos. There it is.
See, and I can't say nothing about your team, Rashad. You got me in a corner here, and I don't like it.
He could
I
say
don't
something.
like it.
He just there's no comeback for Diet Oos.
Because I love Xavier Legette.
That'll be great, man.
And I'm not going to talk smack about him because I'm a better person than you are, Rashad. That's why. See you next Thursday. Sports Flash. Unbelievable.
No Diet Oos up in here. The Carolina Panthers needed a wide receiver in the draft and made a move to add the former South Carolina Gamecock Xavier Legette to the roster. The Panthers traded into the final spot of round 1 by sending the Buffalo Bills a 5th-round pick to move up 1 spot to ensure the selection. Clemson DB Nate Wiggins was selected by the Baltimore Ravens at number 30, and according to a texter, that means that Clemson beat the Gamecocks again. And Ravens GM Eric DeCosta said Wiggins had a big advocate, Dabo Swinney, no surprise there. Of course, your coach is going to be on your side. DeCosta said after the pick that Swinney texted him, making the case for Wiggins. Let me make the case for our brand new show, Wire to Wire. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for that show, Wire to Wire. I'm going to say it one more time, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debates, a whole lot of fun, and you guessed it, it's all Wire to Wire. Oh, Bill is staring at the jam cam. I think the real question is, and you can ask him, Moles, or I'll ask him when he gets, does Rob Brown acknowledge the Diet Oos? Don't you do that to Spencer Rattler, James? No way.
It's been years in the making, and now Greenville is home to the most epic comic and game store around. Borderlands Comics and Games. Reimagined bigger and better than before. The state's premier hobby shop has been bringing the best in comics, manga, and gaming to the region for 3 decades. Come see us at our amazing location at 410 South Pleasantburg. Live the Borderlands experience for yourself. We've gone to a whole new level. Find us on Facebook and Instagram. Proud sponsors of the Upstate Pulse. Borderlands Comics and Games. Read, build, play.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older,
Do you acknowledge him? Do you acknowledge the Diet Oos?
Yeah, but I just put half
Or your pinky finger. Because, diet, so he's a smaller finger. I don't know.
Diet ooze. Unbelievable. What a jerk.
Don't you get jealous when someone comes up with something that's so good? Even I know it's against you, but still.
Infuriating.
Why didn't I think of that?
Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain following the injection.
Rashad Beard, evil, creative troll with no equal.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show, it's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. The latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment.
It is being reported by credible sources that the Seahawks, Saints, and Raiders all tried to make an effort to get into the top 10 for Michael Penix.
Wow.
We are professional wrestling. Everything I do, I'm trying to get on a promo.
It's news.
Bum 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 bum. Bam 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 bam.
One of those just got canceled.
One of the Law and Orders did?
Law or CSIs. One of the CSIs got canceled. I think LA or something like that. There's like 15 of them.
Yes, there are.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good.
Did that hurt?
Nah, we're good.
Okay. All right.
We're good.
Still feeling the effects of the diet ooze.
I'm mad because it's funny. All right. I don't like it. Talise Fuaga is going to be a beast. That's a future Hall of Famer right there. First rookie Pro Bowler. Guaranteed. No chance that pick does anything but thrive, succeed massively.
Nope.
Best pick in the first round, Talisa Fuaga.
Nope.
Gonna be a stud. Can't wait. Like Willie Roaf all over again.
Wow. Can he
reference.
also bench like 800 pounds like Willie Roaf could?
Willie Roaf was the dude.
It's like the Black Pluto. I mean, that was like the biggest chest I've ever seen in my entire life.
Number 77 in the program. Number 1 in your hearts, boys. Love me some
I would
Willie
have
Roaf.
loved to seen him wrestle Mark Henry.
That ring wouldn't have stood a chance. Not stood a chance. Love that cat. All right. We got a lot of stuff to get to in the final hour of the show. This is very interesting, and I'm going to be honest with you. I thought about it. The more I thought about it, the more I don't believe it. But there are multiple sources right now on the internet, so it must be true. Multiple sources on the internet are saying that the Seahawks, Saints, and Raiders all made an effort to get into the top 10. And the thought is that they made the effort to get into the top 10 in order to end up with Michael Penix Jr.
So what you're saying is
the Falcons could have had a
darn
haul.
They could have had a haul.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Wow.
Now, again.
Hey, look, there they are celebrating. That's not realistic celebration. It's just not.
I want to be clear about this. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I don't believe that's the case.
You don't believe they try to trade into? Okay.
No. I don't believe that the Seahawks, no, scratch that. I do believe the Seahawks would have tried that. I do not believe the Saints tried to get into the first round. Because as dumb as their decision-making processes have been as of late, Dennis Allen's still the coach. They were not going to go out there and grab a guy with busted wheels and throw him into the mix behind that offensive line. If they were going back into the first round, it was to get Joe Alt and nobody else. It was to get the best offensive lineman in the draft and nobody else. That's it. But I would not be shocked if the Seahawks did. I would not be shocked if the Raiders did. Two teams that feel like in terms of overall talent, they're pretty close, but are currently being led by, let's call a spade, journeyman quarterbacks. Does anybody think Gardner Minshew's that guy? Yes, comeback player of the year. But is Geno Smith a long-term answer for Seattle? I don't think that I don't think anybody feels that way. Do you? Sam Howell's their backup. Again, I actually think there might emphasis on that entire word. I actually think there might be a chance that Sam Howell could get a chance and perform and be pretty good. Am I willing to put money on it? No. But the Washington Commanders, bums, we're pretty good, or we're pretty bad. We're pretty bad the last couple of years. All of that being said, I don't think the Saints would go. What it does mean, however, is that there is at least a quasi-realistic chance that Atlanta could have made a huge trade back and gotten a haul. But here's the thing. If they trade back, Bo Nix went to Denver at number 12. If they trade back with New Orleans, if they were genuinely on the board, they are out of the range of top-tier quarterbacks. If they trade back to Seattle, they are out of the range of top-tier quarterbacks. If they trade back to Las Vegas, they're on the borderline of top-tier quarterbacks. If Atlanta went into this thing, actually they are, because they went with Brock Bowers at 13, and that was after J.J. McCarthy came off the board and after Bo Nix came off the board. If Atlanta had it in their head coming into draft day that they were going quarterback, there was nowhere back to move. Because I tried to tell y'all this earlier this week. Michael Penix Jr. was coming off the board, I said, in the top 15 picks. But was coming off the board early. Like a lot of people like, oh, the knee injuries. And they're a concern. Of course they're a concern. But I spent a week trying to tell you, the quarterbacks, up to and probably including Bo Nix, the quarterbacks are coming off the board quick here, y'all. The quarterbacks are going to go quick. And the quarterbacks are going to come off the board quick, including Michael Penix Jr. So while I understand that many of you thought Atlanta should have made that move and taken that draft opportunity there, I get it. I understand. The reality is there was nowhere for them to go back without ending up with probably Spencer Rattler as the result of that. That was just the best that you were going to be able to do in that situation. And if that is the case, which now we know that it was, opportunity was minimal for Atlanta. I tried to make the argument to you early. Some of you, nope, scratch that. Most all of you said my argument is crap. That's fine. It's still a good argument. You don't have to like it, but it's a good argument. You're doing Michael Penix ride and pine for a year. He's there if and when your 36-year-old quarterback's legs turn into dust again. You got him right there. You give him time to learn, to grow, to develop, to learn the league. You give your medical team time to work with him, time to get his legs as strong as they can possibly be before the season starts. And it sets you up. I'm almost kind of to the point now where I'm wondering if the Falcons aren't being run by a bunch of diabolical geniuses. You signed Kirk Cousins.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right.
Here's why. You signed Lonzo. Did Atlanta overpay Kirk Cousins?
I don't know.
Okay. I do. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. For a quarterback who's never won anything in the postseason, they overpaid this quarterback who is going to be 36 years old when the season starts. They overpaid. And I wondered, why the hell would they overpay? And now I'm thinking they might have known months ago. We're going quarterback with 8. We're going quarterback with 8. We can overpay Kirk Cousins because at some point we're going to have a number 8 drafted quarterback on the roster. If we need to and want to terminate the contract of Kirk Cousins, it will be done while we've still got this quarterback on a rookie contract, on a cheap contract. So now you've got a situation where whether or not he works out, next year you could terminate the contract of Kirk Cousins or find a trade partner if somebody wants him. But terminate the contract, and even though you would owe Russell Wilson-esque amounts of money to Kirk Cousins, which you wouldn't, by the way, because they front-loaded the contract for a reason, you could terminate the contract, get rid of Captain Kirk, move on to Michael Penix Jr., who would still be on a rookie contract, and afford to make moves elsewhere. And again, as has been pointed out by Shefty and a couple of other guys, if the Falcons do indeed get hit with a tampering punishment next year, a tampering punishment that ends up being somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, a first-round pick next year would be a quarterback year for Atlanta. Next year would be a year to draft a QB. And if you lose that first-round pick next year, now you're locked in with a 38-year-old Kirk Cousins in year 3 of his contract. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So by getting this guy here, you got I'm going to argue, top 10 talent quarterback. You got him on a good contract. And if anything goes wrong with Kirk Cousins, he gets hurt, he sucks. It turns out it was Minnesota's wide receiver core carrying the whole time, whatever the case might be. If anything goes wrong with Kirk Cousins, QBF is waiting in the wings. QBF is right there for you. I get it. And if there ends up being more smoke to the report that they got multiple teams looking to trade up. And by the way, this report is not that these teams were trying to climb up into Atlanta's spot. They were just trying to climb up into the top 10 for Michael Penix Jr. We knew that Caleb Williams was coming off the board at number 1. We knew that Jaden Daniels was coming off the board at 2. And by the way, it broke like an hour before the draft that New England had decided that they were going to stay at 3 and they were going to take Drake May. And I know that because I was looking at the odds boards when I watched Drake May to go number 3 overall drop great one from like minus 175 to minus 10,000 in one move.
Wow.
Yeah. So Drake May, you knew at that point, well over an hour before the draft, because we were still on the air at Dave & Buster's yesterday.
So how much money could you have made on that?
if I would have made that bet when he was minus 175, I mean, half of whatever you were willing to bet. Bet 200 win, it'd been a little bit less, but bet 200 win 75, bet 300 win 100. Once he goes to minus 10,000, you got to bet, I think, $1,000 to make $10.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it in case, something goes crazy and it turns out that, he was in the bathroom doing crack at the draft. And they go, oh, yeah, we're not drafting that guy now.
He was not, by the way.
He was not.
Yes.
But the point here is all these other teams knew. Bang, 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 Williams, Daniels, May, gone. 1, 2, 3. Which left the next crop of quarterbacks, which was Penix, McCarthy, and Bo Nix. And I've been screaming the whole time. The J.J. McCarthy love is a smokescreen. There may be a team that actually does feel like he's the right pick. Turns out there was. It was the Minnesota Vikings. But the J.J. McCarthy love was a smokescreen, which is why Penix came off the board in the top 10 and J.J. McCarthy did not. So Atlanta was always going to go Penix because trading back, and by the way, the teams, again, that were in front of them offering a trade, if this report is correct, Seattle, New Orleans, Vegas. Even Bo Nix was off the board by the time those three teams drafted. So for Atlanta to trade back out of the top 10, for Atlanta to trade out of the top 10, they would have had to have given up on drafting a quarterback. They could not have drafted a quarterback at that point. Or they could have, but it would have been making Spencer Rattler a top 10 pick or a top round pick. And y'all know I love me Spencer Rattler, but he's not a first round pick. So again, I see the Atlanta fans flipping out. Oh, we could have had. I agree with you. You could have, should have, would have had. But your team was very clearly locked in on getting QBF. And if they were clearly locked in on getting QBF, they had zero options but to take Penix at 8 or Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy at 8, but to take somebody at 8 because it was relatively evident after QBs 1, 2, and 3 went off the board that QBs were not going to last a very long time in the mix here. So not shocked by that at all. Not shocked. I know the Atlanta fans are upset. You are entirely justified in being upset. Hell, you are in Greenville, South Carolina. The Falcons are getting more talk today than the Panthers have. The Falcons are getting more talk nationally than any other team. Why? Because everybody's dropping bows on them right now. And I am here to tell you that if you take 7 minutes to think about it, if you really take all the variables, Kirk Cousins over here and the quarterback order over here and the draft selection spot that Atlanta was in over here, and if you really sit down and you think about all of those variables that are in mix for where that team was and what that team needed, you don't have to like the selection, but the selection made sense. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got a bunch more stories to run through before we call it a day. Want to talk some NBA playoffs as we head into the weekend. Want to talk some Stanley Cup playoffs as we head into the weekend. Then we'll ask what the X is going on, and we will call it a day. I am Rob Brown, the Great Lonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're stepping away for just a minute. Y'all stay right there. We will be right back. robo dogs that have been walking around. There was one at a Greenville Drive game last year that I took a video with and sent it to the great one. Somebody took a robo dog and strapped a flamethrower to the top of it. They call it the Thermonator, the world's first flamethrower-wielding robotic dog. It can spray streams of fire at the press of a button up to 30 feet.
By the way, I have listeners sending me that stuff. So that's as a listener sent it to me before I send it to you. So, yeah, if you see the dog, it's too late. You done got burnt up.
So dramatic, and I'm here for it. So dramatic, and I'm here.
You say that, I can very easily see in my mind's eye looking outside and seeing a herd of those dogs coming up.
A herd of robo dogs.
What would you call them? An army?
A pack.
It's
a pack.
I guess
pack of flamethrower dogs.
I guess yes. A pack of robotic dogs heading this way.
Freaking hilarious.
They'd probably torch another station first, but still we'd be in the building and we'd be history.
Great one sent that one to me last night at I don't even know o'clock in the morning, and that's what I woke up to. And you better believe I was laughing hysterically when I saw it.
So in your mind, it doesn't worry you at all.
Nah, not really.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, when they
Wow.
when
Get your head out the sand, Rob Brown.
when the robo dogs
We all gonna
start
die.
showing up around me, then I'll be worried. But as of right now,
So we all gonna die.
I'm not at all.
Every one of us dead.
All right, let's talk NFL playoffs here. NBA playoffs here for just a minute. Before we get out of here, we had 3 games go down last night. The Lakers now on the verge of elimination. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm regretting my bet. I put a bet down that the Lakers were going to win this, or we're going to lose this series, but in 5. I just needed them to win a game. I don't see how they do. Every statistic on the box sheet last night said the Lakers should have won that game, and yet they didn't.
So, you're looking at all the other guys other than LeBron and AD. What are they doing? What are those guys doing?
I mean,
nothing would be what they're doing.
D'Lo did nothing last night. Even Austin Reeves, and we're both big Austin Reeves guys.
D'Angelo's been in this series invisible.
Yeah,
he has done absolutely nothing.
It has not been going well. I'm a big D'Lo guy. I like D'Lo a lot. But the reality is those fellas just simply did not show up last night. And them not showing up last night legitimately, I think, cost the Lakers that game. It went very poorly, very quickly last night. And the folks that are blaming it on LeBron are kind of silly if we're keeping it a buck here. Because LeBron and AD were both balling out of their skulls last night, doing everything that they could do to make something happen. And like nobody else wanted to help for whatever reason. It was embarrassing, to tell you the truth. So, I hope LeBron and AD light them up in the locker room, because otherwise this thing's over in 4. 76ers, Knicks. I got to tell you, I lost a lot of respect for Joel Embiid last night. 50-point game. That's a game that I should have wanted to come in here today and celebrate. And then it turns out that he's got a 50-point game coming off of a diagnosis and a fight with Bell's palsy. Yeah, I've been there, done that. As I pointed out earlier in the show, some of y'all may remember a couple of years ago when I had a case of Bell's palsy for no reason. And during that stretch, again, I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like it was the, biggest struggle of my life or anything, but it made life a little more interesting, right? When half your mouth doesn't work, when you got to tilt your head like a dog to take a sip of water, because if you don't, it just dribbles down the side. When you work in sports radio, but you can't say sports, it's rough. I can't imagine what it must have been like. And by the way, my left eye wouldn't close. It was dry all the time. I had to put eye drops in it constantly during that period. Like every 10 minutes, I had to hit eye drops. I had to drive with an eye patch on, like the world's lamest pirate. Why? Because the left eye went fuzzy, because it couldn't close all the way. And when it went fuzzy, my whole vision went fuzzy. So I had to put the pirate eye patch on. And while I could see clearly at that point, my depth perception was crap. I can't imagine what shooting at a basket would have been like. So I'm not saying this lets Joel off the hook for anything, but I think his, let's say, frustrating performances of the last couple of weeks kind of make a little bit more sense now. But that's not even the issue, because that's something I should want to come in here and celebrate about Joel Embiid today. Instead, what I am looking at is a guy who, while he was probably right about it, the officiating, at least early in that game, seemed to go in the direction of the New York Knicks. It seemed like they were getting calls that Philly was not. But Joel Embiid was out there throwing elbows, and I don't mean like while boxing out trying to get a board. I'm talking about running down the court and a defender tries to get in front of him, ball you man style, and Joel hits him with like a running elbow on the way by. Like if it was a wrestling match, the referee would have been forced to step in. Then you end up in a spot where he's on the ground under the basket. The New York big man goes up to grab a board and get the put-back layup. And Joel, as he's going to jump, grabs him by both of his legs and pulls him back down to the ground after he's elevated. That can't happen. Zoe saw the play earlier. I asked Alonzo earlier, would you have tossed him for that?
It was a very Draymond Green-esque kind of play.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman. I mean, there's a couple guys that come to mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad.
And it's so just out of the blue, not what you would expect from him.
It's not. I never saw Joel that way. I never saw Joel Embiid as that player. Like, I know he's a physical player, and y'all know I like a big five. I like a physical five. I like a five who scraps. I like a five who boxes out. I like a five who fights for the basketball. But man, that ain't it, Joel. Either way, 76ers get a big win last night. They are back in this series now, trailing 2-1. Magic Cavaliers, what in the bleep was that? The Cavs blew out the Magi 2 games in a row. Yes, one of those totals was only 10 points, but the game was never 10 points worth of close. And then Paulo Banchero, a dude that I tried to sell you guys on after I saw him play in person. You'll remember Duke played here at the Well in the opening round of the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. I looked at Paulo Banchero and I was like, yo, this kid's going to be a dude. This kid's going to be a dude. He was a dude last night, 31 points on behalf of Orlando. They knocked the Cavaliers out 121-83. Damn, dude. Like, damn. That's all I got. That was an unbelievable performance from Orlando. Milwaukee versus Indiana tonight. Bucks Pacers. This one opened with the Pacers as a Lonzo 6.5 point favorite. That feel like a big number to you? 6.5 point favorite feels like a big number to me.
See, I don't know what the numbers normally are in this sport.
I mean, this is a playoff game. Like, Dallas is a 4.5 point favorite over the Clippers, and Phoenix is a 4.5 point favorite over Minnesota. Have they not been paying attention to these series so far? Phoenix ain't done a damn thing yet. Phoenix is not only 0-2 in this series, but it's 0-2 And they haven't particularly been close yet. That number feels really weird to me. I'm not going to touch it. I don't like it. Something scary right there. Give me the Pacers tonight. Give me the Pacers to take a 2-1 lead over Milwaukee. The question mark is going to be, when is Giannis coming back? When is Giannis coming back? And by the way, Chris Middleton might be out for this game as well. The Bucks are cooked. Unless Giannis comes out like Royal Rumble style, Bucks down 12 with 12 to play, the music hits, the lights go down, and the Greek freak comes out from behind Gorilla. Unless that happens, I think the Bucks are cooked tonight. I don't know if I like them by 6.5 points, but I do like them. Give me we want to go Mavericks over Clippers here. It feels like the Clippers kind of hit their wall last game.
Well, did in the beginning, did you expect the Mavericks to win the series? Because I did. So if I do, then I definitely have to say yes, they're going to win.
I mean, it's 1-1 right now. So I mean, they can give one back. I just don't think it's here. I don't think it's here. I think you're going to a game 3 in Dallas. I think Luke and the boys show up. Give me the Timberwolves over the Suns. I don't even need to break that one down. Thunder are cooked, or excuse me, Pelicans are cooked by the Thunder. They're going 0-2 at home. They suck at home. We're done. And then the Celtics Heat. How was that series tied 1-1? That's not fair because Miami hit 1,000 3-pointers.
Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
Because they hit 1,000 threes in game 2. I don't think it's going to matter. Get right game for Boston. 9.5-point favorites, and I'm probably going to bet them to cover, to be honest with you. Unless Jimmy Bucket shows up. And spoiler alert, he's not. All right, let's come back. Last segment. A few more things I want to get to and what the X is going on. And then we go home for the weekend. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
On Thursday, they're back to action tonight. 7/21 pitch at home against the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland's the top team in the American League at 18-7. Atlanta, the National League leader at 17-6. They've won 3.
It's Phil Day.
I was making the assumption.
I'm getting sent videos of Phil Day. Yes. Yeah, so do I.
And 200 with that 32nd overall pick. They took wide receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina.
Daggone it.
Several times, and the team told them they'd take him with their first available pick.
Thought I killed that.
Bundle auto enroll, renters, or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call.
Yeah, I know. I tried to. We get those reports come from corporate, so or from some other place. So I killed one earlier. I thought I got them all. I didn't.
We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com.
Another legit got through. I thought I got them all, and I didn't.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I mean, the solution to the problem is to have me put those in the morning, so I can actually listen to them, since I am the arbiter of all things.
That is true, you are.
Definitely responsible for all things that go wrong. So, no, according to what I read, Zach, the next member of the bloodline will not be introduced till after the draft. We'll see how accurate that is. You never know. The bloodline may no longer be on SmackDown. Especially with Roman being gone for a while.
The Florida State lawsuit against the Atlantic Coast Conference continues down in the state of Florida. Texter said Bell's palsy is caused by drinking too much liquor and having too much barbecue sauce. That's not true because I'd be Jim Ross. That was the case.
That was the point.
Yeah.
That was the
No,
yeah,
but I'm
that's
saying
the-
I would also be Jim Ross.
They're making Jim Ross money. Who don't want to make some Jim Ross money?
You know what we didn't address yet? And I'm going to come back to this Florida State thing because I just got to one off this, but we called the shot. Thank you, Tony Khan, for keeping kayfabe alive. Thank you for keeping kayfabe alive. My man showed up in the war room in the neck
Wow.
brace.
Made it to 9:37 before I had to cross it off.
I mean, there's more stuff trending.
Is there?
Yeah, there's plenty.
Is
There's
there?
always stuff trending.
Maybe I'm just going to protest and say there isn't. How many more are you going to take from me? No, it was great that he, but I don't think he sold it all the way because I seen the head moving without the body. The whole body has to move. I know I'm being a little hyper critical there, but yeah, I mean, come on, you gonna sell it all the way. Although he sold it about as well as he sold that punch, so there's that.
It wasn't a punch. It was a microphone to the gut.
It's still a punch
You don't
with
know, you don't know
with
how
an
you'd react to
object.
that. You don't know how you'd react to that.
I've been punched in the gut before. I'm not going to react that way.
Probably by a teacher.
No. But, I engaged my core. So it was like them hitting a brick wall. Then I proceeded up. Right now. Yeah.
Also, real quick, I need y'all to get over Kirk Cousins being in his feelings, okay? You're a professional. Get up over it. It is not your job. It is not your spot.
Come on.
Okay?
Me and you hurt each other's feelings all over the place. And then we have to try to recover from it. It's not, feelings are feelings for a reason. It's not that easy.
You don't hurt my feelings.
Uh-huh.
We disagree.
Rashad hurt your feelings earlier.
Rashad did hurt my feelings. Rashad was being a jerk today.
Diet is.
Being a jerk today. All right. So Kirk Cousins going to have to get over it. There's a reason they didn't tell him they were going QB. If they tell him they're going QB, he tells his agent gets on the horn with the media blast everywhere. Atlanta looking at a QB at number 8. And then all of the sudden, everybody around them starts making stupid offers to the not 1, but 2, but 3 teams ahead of Atlanta that could have justifiably traded back. Arizona could have traded back, etc. And the next thing you know, now Atlanta's sitting there wanting a quarterback, but watching everybody jump up ahead of them to get him just because Kirk Cousins' feelings were going to get hurt.
Yeah, well, Kirk Cousins' feelings should be hurt, and he should be upset about it because no one likes it when management's going, hey, good job today, really good job, and then you just happen to walk down the hall and you're going, man, that was not good.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. You're making up a thing.
I am making that up because that's never happened because we've never had a bad show.
No, I'm saying it didn't happen to Kirk Cousins.
Well, they didn't tell him.
Close to it.
They didn't tell him.
They don't have to.
They told him as they were doing it.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you're about to find this out.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. That's exactly right.
Then it's like,
because
I
again,
could have went somewhere else where they wouldn't have done this to me. Why did you bring me in?
They brought in a guy who's going to be my backup. How awful. It's football, dog. That's what happens.
Okay, so if they bring in a third guy in here and he's sitting over there and he's jumping in and talking and stuff, eventually or even right away you're going to be paranoid. Why do we need a third person? I don't know why we need a third person. Why are they bringing that third person in here? This is a 2-man crew. We don't need 3. All right, it's a 1-man crew. We don't need 2. So I mean, you wouldn't think any of that.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what I think.
All right.
If I come in here tomorrow and the boss walks down the door, walks down the hallway and kicks open the door and goes, hey, this is Jim Bob. Jim Bob is now sitting in on your show. What would I do? No, screw that.
I know what I would do. It's like, about time we have some country flavor. Come on in, Jim Bob.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah.
If they tell Kirk Cousins Kirk Cousins tells his agent. If Kirk Cousins tells his agent tells the media. If his agent tells the media reports it. If the media reports it, the teams that wanted him, of which we know there were at least 2, then go, you know what, screw that. We're just going to trade up into Arizona spot, or we're going to trade up into whoever spot ahead of 8 and take that guy.
All right, what's
and now
bothering
Atlanta's
me
sitting there without a QB.
is you saying he needs to get over it.
He does.
Eventually, it just happened like 12 hours ago or something. Give the guy a little while to process. Of course, he should be hurt. He will get over it once he gets out there and proves that he's the better quarterback. But if he gets out there and he doesn't, Atlanta has caused a problem for themselves, a quarterback controversy that they didn't have to have.
I think it needs to be a controversy. Better guy starts. I hate paying $133 million for a backup, but the better guy starts. Atlanta can win the division this year.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like they're second guessing their pick of picking him up.
It looks like they are preparing for the future because Kirk Cousins is 36. He is dusty in football terms.
He's not dusty.
He is dusty in football terms. That's too old, man.
And he's having for hard times, Daddy.
He's old. It is what it is. He's old. All right, let me get to this college football thing here for just a second. Florida's Attorney General has sued the Atlantic Coast Conference on Thursday in an attempt to receive the media rights contracts with FSU as part of the ongoing dispute as FSU seeks to leave the conference, this being reported by the Associated Press. Attorney General Ashley Moody said the ACC has failed to turn over the contracts despite a public records request she made in January. She is arguing that the contracts are public records because they involve an agreement with a government-run university. The university and the conference are suing each other as FSU seeks to leave the ACC and explore a more lucrative landing spot. The ACC, of course, is trying to not let them do that. And that's the fight. The Noles are challenging the agreement that binds the school to the league for the next 12 years with more than $500 million worth of fees to leave that agreement. On Monday, a judge ordered the two sides into mediation. That is not a shock. That is not a surprise. Most of the time, when you have a lawsuit like this that is over mega millions of dollars, most of the time, a judge is going to insist that it goes to mediation first, because if you can avoid all of the pain in the rearedness of a lawsuit, a judge would prefer that. What is interesting about it is that Florida State has a copy of the media rights agreement, and I'm assuming that somewhere in their records, the ACC has a copy of the media rights agreement. Now, the Attorney General of Florida is saying, yeah, I'm going to need one too. I'm going to need one too, because I'm probably going to end up being ultimately connected to this, and I'm going to need to be able to take a look at what was agreed to, what was signed off on, how it got there, yada, yada, yada. But the government's getting involved in this, dudes. Like, is anybody shocked? Is anybody surprised by that? You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be at all.
Which is why I'll be taken care of 12 years from now. Yeah, government.
I am really intrigued because, remember, part of the reason that I thought Florida State decided to have their lawsuit filed in the state of Florida, obviously, aside from the fact that they are, Florida State University, and aside from the fact that they might be hoping that they catch a sympathetic FSU alum on the bench, maybe get a little leeway, a little home cooking, so to speak.
Come on, that doesn't happen in our justice system.
Yeah, no,
I don't
sure.
know what you're talking about.
Our justice system is both fair and honest, TM. While they might have been hoping for a little home cooking, the other aspect of this is that the way that Florida's laws are written, both the Sunshine Laws, which are basically their Freedom of Information Act laws that I had to deal with extensively when I used to work in county government a decade ago.
But without them, we wouldn't have Florida Man. And who doesn't love Florida Man?
For the record, that is absolutely correct.
Don't act shocked.
No, I'm saying to the listeners,
Okay,
God, I'm
all
not
right.
always coming after you, Zoe. Geez, settle down. Sensitive Sally.
Oh,
I'm telling-
there's a thing. Is that going to be a thing now?
It might be. I like it.
Okay.
I like it. That is the reason that you guys hear all the Florida Man stories, because everything is public information in Florida, and that includes arrest reports. So basically,
It's the same thing in Ohio. So that's
Yep.
why it's back and
Yep.
forth. There's something happen, and some people don't understand. They're like, does this stuff only happen in those two states? No, it happens everywhere. We can just hear about it from those
Yep.
two.
You can, as a matter of fact, when I worked for the television news down in Pensacola, Florida, I spent 2 years as a TV reporter. And one of the first things that happened every day when we got to the office bright and early in the AM, there was one producer whose only job for about 2 hours in the morning was to go between the 4 counties that we covered and just look at the arrest reports from the night before. Just read them, because they're all available to you. So she would jump in and she would dial in and she would call over and she would get all the arrest reports sent over, and then she would read there. And then every now and then she'd come to us with a story and she'd say, 38-year-old man arrested for molesting an alligator. We got to cover that.
That's on many levels.
There are signs in Florida that say, please do not molest the alligators.
No, there's not.
Swear to
No,
you.
come on. So how many alligators had to be that before they went? We need a sign.
The verb molesting does not default to sexually. You can walk up
Okay,
and
all
touch
right.
somebody,
all
and
right.
that is
All
molestation.
right. I just think quite a few people think the
for
former,
sure.
not the
That's why
latter.
it's
Yes.
so damn funny.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it's so funny.
Leave
Anyway,
them gators alone. Okay.
I don't know how we arrived at molesting alligators. But here
You
we are.
did. You went there.
Welcome to the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I'm going to be straight up with you.
You're having trouble getting back on track after the alligators.
No,
aren't you?
I'm trying to decide. I'm trying to decide how I feel about all of this, because on one hand, I'm kind of at the point where, for the sake of Clemson and Florida State primarily, because the longer that they fester in the ACC, the harder it's going to be for them to get caught up with the teams in the Big Ten and the SEC when they inevitably decide or have the ability, I guess I should say, to move over. So there's part of me that's like, man, I'd really prefer if Ashley Moody in the state of Florida did not get involved in this. And then there's another part of me that goes, the longer FSU, the longer Clemson, the longer UNC, the longer Miami waller around in the festering corpse of the ACC, the more difficult it's going to be for them to be competitive when they inevitably end up in the Big Ten or the Southeastern Conference. So, like, maybe she does have to get involved so that something gets done to progress this lawsuit.
Maybe. Now it's time to ask Rob what the X is going on. So many scribbles on my list, but that's okay. That's fine. I mean, we've got some other stuff, including Glenn Jacobs.
That would be Knoxville Mayor Glenn Jacobs, if memory serves me correctly.
I believe he's still the mayor of Knoxville, yes.
Of course, also the Big Red Machine, Kane. No idea why he's training.
It is his birthday. Guess how old he is?
Based on the way you say that, close to your age, 55.
No, Rob, he's 57. He also could beat Jake Paul.
You know what he's not doing?
He also could beat Jake Paul,
You know what he's
and then
not
pass
doing?
some laws in Knoxville.
You know what he's not doing?
What is he not doing?
Trying to sell me a gosh darn pay-per-view fight as if it's competitive. You know why he's not doing that, Lonzo? Because he's 57 years old.
Here's the thing also. You want to tell me that if Kane comes back, you wouldn't pop? Yes, you would.
Yeah, if he comes back to wrestle,
Right.
not box as if that's a genuine thing because, and I can confirm this, it's not.
All right. The next thing that's Xing is Carol Burnett.
I love Carol Burnett so much.
Me too.
She's the best, dude.
It's one thing we can agree on today.
The Carol Burnett show has got to go down. If you were going to put together a list of like the top, I don't know, 10 best comedy shows in television history, is she not squarely on top of that list?
Absolutely.
I would say yes. I would say 100%. Also, my internet just completely died.
Yeah, the global the session has mine's still up, so I don't know.
I've lost all my interwebs.
Okay,
So,
well,
good thing we're done.
Mine is still up. Now it's just me on the screen, so we're good. You're welcome, everybody.
Good thing we're done.
Everybody who wanted just me. All right, she is Xing because it's her birthday. Also,
Carol Burnett's still alive.
yes.
Okay, I didn't know it.
How old do you think she is?
Gotta be in her 80s, right?
It's a little more than 57.
87.
91.
91.
Carol Burnett is 91.
Absolute icon, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Absolute icon.
And it's not just about her. It was about the ensemble with Tim Conway and Harvey Korman
Those
and
two
Vicki
idiots
Lawrence.
trying to make each other break in their skits. Like my mom turned me on to that one day. She was like, you got to watch this. And then one night I was flipping channels and they had an infomercial on where you could buy like the Carol Burnett Show box set. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude. And then I watch, and those two guys doing skits trying to break each other. All-time classic comedy television.
All right. The next thing that's Xing is Bill Belichick.
Oh, Hoodie. Dude, Hoodie was actually
What?
surprisingly
He
entertaining.
was what?
He was entertaining.
He was entertaining. Oh,
Now,
what?
let's be clear why he was entertaining. Because he was crotchety old guy sitting at a table with 7 frat bros
So you
who
could
were pounding brewskis.
You could identify. That's you at the restaurant now.
I'm one of the 7 frat guys
Are you?
pounding brewskis and telling O's the mentalist, if I open this and you have my number written down, I will rip your face off. And Bell's like, what is happening here? My favorite part, Pat at one point, so they were talking about the Broncos pick, and Pat was saying something, and Pat stopped, and the boys were talking, and Hoodie leans over, and he goes to whisper something secret to Pat, right? Like, one of your boys just said this, and it's going to get us in trouble, except for he leaned over to whisper with his microphone attached to his face, and you hear him off on the side. One of your guys just said this, and he said, and then the volume audio clicked out. And I've never been so disappointed in my life.
It's also
good job on that producer, by the way.
Also known as the Mark Ryan method.
That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Have a spectacular weekend. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face, but do come back here on Monday. We will wrap up our draft grade for the NFC South. We will check in on the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and more. It's all coming up Monday for Lonzo. I'm Rob. Have a spectacular rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Later. Yeah. South Carolina's equestrians coach is named Boo Major.
Yeah, Boo. What up, Boo?
All right, dudes and dudettes, I have actual work to do today. I don't like it. I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. So we got to go. Thank you all for being here. You're all spectacular, amazing, incredible human beings. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see some of you. To the ones I don't, see you Monday. Goodbye.